Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show, baby. We're back. We weren't here last week, but we're back today. So buckle your chin straps. We're going to tackle the AFC and the NFC North divisions and give you the biggest questions for each team. So before we get to that, Jim, how the hell have you been?
I've been very busy, Joe. It's been crazy. You know, again, work's crazy. Had a great Independence Day, you know, for the most part, I guess, too. But, you know, it's always good to have a long weekend, too. So how about you, buddy? How you been?
Good, man. Good. Like, you know, like you said, it's good to have like a little bit of a kind of like a long weekend to get away from some things and relax and have a good time with friends, family, and all that. So, but yeah, we've kind of recouped, we refreshed, and we are ready to tackle this thing that we call the NFL. So, I'm super excited about this episode. I know some fans out there will get some insight on their teams and everything, but let's get right to it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. So let's get right into it. Here we go. The biggest questions we're tackling the AFC and NFC North divisions. Let's start right out here with the Baltimore Ravens, Joe. I'm going to go with you first, and then I'll do mine right after. So we're good. All right, Ravens. What's the biggest questions you got here for the Ravens?
So, like, for me, like, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, they're just solid all the way around. The roster realistically should continue to where it left off from last season. Like, they're a playoff caliber type of NFL football team. The defense, I love the younger pieces that they have that they're gonna, you know, put input in place this year. So super excited to see how well they play. However, there's just one thing that kind of really irks me about the Ravens, and it's Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And not because it's Lamar Jackson, it's because how come a guy this talented just can't seem to help get the team over the hump, get into the championship game, get into the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl? Like, this guy is so electric on the football field. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that would be my biggest question for the Ravens is, can Lamar take that next step this year? The team is already groomed defensively to be a championship caliber type of defense. It's groomed offensively. They have Derrick Henry back again. They gave him an extension. This offensive line has not skipped or missed a beat in like the last 10 years. They always seem to do a great job of finding new talent to just, you know, implement into their offensive line. They just don't miss anything. So, I mean, wide receivers, they have, you know, yes, they got the new shiny toy DeAndre Hopkins. I'm curious to see how they utilize him in this offense of theirs, but they got all the pieces in place. It's up to Lamar at this point for me. And what I would like to see from Lamar Jackson, and this would be the ultimate, is when they get, you know, in that division hunt, whether they are number one or number two, whatever however it shakes out, when they get to the playoffs, Lamar, stick with what works. Don't try to prove the naysayers. Don't try to prove the mass media wrong. Do what works. You don't have to throw for 300-400 yards in a game. You don't. Hell, if you can rush for 200 yards, score 2 touchdowns just because you ran, and then throw for another 150 to 200 yards and 1 touchdown, it doesn't matter. Just win the game. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, he had the opportunity last year in a guy that, you know, he really leans on all the time, and Mark Andrews, again, just happened to drop the ball. I mean, that changes some of this narrative altogether, right, Joe? I mean, so it sucks because it's not all his fault, but being the quarterback too, with the outstanding play that you have, that does weigh on your shoulders. And I seriously have pretty much the same question that you have, but for me, I kind of kept it a little more specific in the fact that can Lamar Jackson beat his top tier counterparts in the playoffs? And that's where he's kind of faltered. You know, I mean, you see, Joe Burrow has had success. You see Josh Allen has had success in the playoffs. You've seen Patrick Mahomes get far and win the Super Bowl too, as well. So all these guys have made it to the championship game and, or won the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? And just he hasn't. They have been able to get it done. In fact, the Baltimore Ravens have a playoff record of 1-3 in the last 3 seasons. In 2022, they lost in the wild card round to the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, which we just brought up. In 2023, they won against the Houston Texans in the divisional round, but then again, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the championship game. And then 2024, they defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card, but then they lost to the Buffalo Bills. So again, losing to his counterparts, his peers, that if you're considered an elite level quarterback, this is the conversations that's going to be had here. Can you beat these guys? This is what they do. They did it before. Peyton Manning, Brady, this and this. People keep tallies on that. And unfortunately, this is the thing that's going to keep following Lamar Jackson until he actually wins one. You see the questions or the narratives that people have with Aaron Rodgers. He was, I think, is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Only having one Super Bowl, people, again, question how great he is or whatever, what his legacy might be. And these are the things that will be haunting, I guess, Lamar Jackson until he does get over that hump. And they've gotten close, and we've seen some of these teams that are good but never get over that hump. So you got to win while that window is open. And this team, let me tell you, with how they build this team every single year to year, that's a pretty much like a big bay window, a picture window. Like you can fit a couch in that thing. But they've got to get it done. And like I said, if you want to be considered as top money quarterback, if you want to be considered not a running quarterback, altogether, you got to be able to do this and get this done. So that's the question here. They've gotten so close every year, and that was just a dropped pass away from moving on. Again,
I mean,
that's the question this year.
The problem for me with Lamar is the fact that I feel like he feeds, and this goes right hand in hand with what you're saying too, Jimmy, is the fact that it goes hand in hand. Like, this is a guy who really does listen to what people are saying outside. And he tries to prove everybody wrong, like, oh, I can throw, I can be a pocket passer, I can do all that. You don't need to. Just win the game. Everybody's going to forget about whatever they said negatively about you when you hoist that Lombardi trophy, when you win that championship game, and then you enter the Super Bowl. Like, everybody's going to forget about that. They're not going to call you a running quarterback anymore. They're just going to call you Lamar Jackson, one of the better quarterbacks, in 2025 or whatever the case may be. So for me, it's get your head out of that. Stop mentally prepare yourself for this season. Don't feed into the negativity. Don't feed into the drama. Just execute the plays and make it happen. Get those wins. You don't have to throw. So it's a part of him. And let's just say this, like you were listing off all these other quarterbacks, like Josh Allen had success. Lamar Jackson's had success too in the playoffs. It's just those critical moments to win a championship game, to get to the Super Bowl, and to even go beyond that and win the whole damn thing. That's where he needs to step up. That's where he needs to stop worrying about, oh, am I going to run too much or do I need to throw more? No, just freaking throw that out the window and do what you do.
Just do it. That's right, Shia LaBeouf. That's what you got to do.
We got one of our know-it-alls in there, said, Rise Up Dirty Birds in the house, said, yo, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? He's back in the house with us.
What's going on? Hey, listen, if you're new to the show, we know that we got Rise Up Dirty Birds in here. He just became one of our new know-it-alls. We want you guys to do the same thing as well. Head over to YouTube for us. Hit the damn subscription button. Hit the thumbs up to let everybody know that you like what you see and hear. And don't forget to share it to all your family and friends. That's what this thing is all about, to be interactive with you guys. We want to hear what you guys have to think about everything, too. We want to hear what you have to say. We like differing opinions, so tune in. Also, we got Rise Up Dirty Bird said, can you believe what Kirk is saying in quarterback season 2?
I know
Well,
I've heard some of the stuff. I
yeah,
guess now he's like saying that he wasn't expecting, what was going to go on and all stuff. But I haven't watched it yet. I
right.
plan to. I know
Mhm.
that right away once it's out now, they're going to be noting little points about it and stuff. So
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to watch it and I'll see. But uh, it's Kirk Cousins and where he was. That he was when he signed there. That's what he had choices.
Mhm.
I was going to have my best opportunity to start here, and yes, I get that he didn't play good enough that he got replaced and stuff. So I mean,
Right.
it does seem like it's what do you want to say, catty or whatever. Like, oh, I expected to be here and blah blah blah. But um, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think who knows that I can't wait to see this season, the book that is written about Kirk
Mhm.
Cousins after with this season. What happens? Does he
Right.
remain just a backup? Does he end up getting traded? Who knows?
Yeah, he'll definitely be gone after this year. Like the tales that we're hearing out of Atlanta right now is that it seems like it's almost inevitable that he's going to stay a backup this year, but
Hmm.
then the following year they can get out of that contract, and he'll most likely be a free agent because I don't expect him to trade him at this point now. Really, what can you get for him? Hardly anything, So, and with any kind of money that's also going to have to transition over, it's going to be too much. So I mean, hey, you know, it and this is one of those things too, like for Kirk and Atlanta and the Atlanta Falcons organization, it's really nobody's fault. Like this whole situation, Kirk went there with the intention to not only start, but try to carry that team into the winning ways and all that. And for Atlanta, they wanted him there. They wanted him long term. It just happened that when the draft came around and Michael Penix was there, they're like, "What are we gonna do after Kirk Cousins? We don't really have a future, and we really do like Michael Penix. So do we pass it up? No, let's just take him because we don't know what the future holds." And unfortunately for Kirk Cousins, it is what it is right now. Michael Penix is now the starter going forward. Kirk is basically a glorified backup, and maybe he'll get a starting position elsewhere the following year. So we'll see when that happens.
Hmm. Absolutely. So thank you for the questions out there. We
Appreciate you,
appreciate it
Rise
out
Up.
there. All right, so let's move on to the Bengals here, Joe. What do you got for the biggest question that's facing the Bengals this season?
I mean, it's pretty easy. Like the biggest question last year was defense, right? Like, I mean, it is what it is, and
Mhm.
the that's what it is. Like so for the Bengals defense, it's like what are they doing? What's happening right now? Currently, that is the biggest and hottest topic out of Cincinnati is are they going to ever get Trey Hendrickson's deal done? Are they going to ever sign their first round pick and get him locked in? You know what I mean? So Shamar Stewart, like, what are we doing, Cincinnati? We're playing games with contracts that it just needs to get done. Like we got to
Mhm.
stop fiddling around, messing around. And I understand all the credit to Cincinnati's front office. They're doing a lot with a little manpower, but this is kind of one of those things that have been lingering on way too long. Get Trey Hendrickson's deal done, make him happy, get him back in Cincinnati, and lock up, Shamar Stewart. I don't know what's taking so long with the draft pick. It doesn't make any sense to me. So,
Yeah.
um, let's just get those deals done, and then when you look at their defense, they've made some upgrades, they've made some changes. No,
Mhm.
some are minuses, like George Pratt, they actually released him, which was kind of a surprise, but they must really like who they got behind him. You know what I mean? There must be something that they're seeing that we don't get to see that, is right around the corner. They got some potential there. So I like the defense on paper. I do think they are a decent defense, but you need to have those edge rushers. They got
Mhm.
to get Shamar Stewart in and they got
Mhm.
to get Trey Hendrickson in. If they do that, I would say they have improved the defense, and we'll get to see maybe the defense for once can actually help Joe Burrow in this offense win some more football games instead of the offense just scoring crazy amount of points and
Mhm.
still losing.
Right, right. Again, I have the same question just about more or less. I said, can the Bengals defense improve under new DC Al Golden? One thing I've noticed about Golden so far, in OTAs at least, he was been emphasizing in getting the right players in the right
Mhm.
position and maximizing their strengths. He's also implementing drills and strategies to improve the defense's ability to get turnovers too. I mean, they were lacking in turnovers last year. Like we noticed, it was all on, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson to do it all, and that's what I mean. So he's trying to take what he has here, also with some of the additions, and like you said, got to get the rookie in here and get Trey back in here, and that will only help improve things as well. And so far, what I was hearing out of camps so far too is that the the,
Mhm.
the players are responding, so that's
Yeah.
good too to it. So I liked the defensive core they had here last year. I don't think it was all completely his fault, but a change of scenery is always good too, and the players are responding. But like you said, Joe, let's get the deals done so we can move
Right.
on here.
Yeah. Rise Up has some things to say.
All right.
He said, like, how are you going to expect a team that signed you coming off an injury not to draft a rookie quarterback? Very solid question. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is because Atlanta is in such dire need of other positions. You would have thought that
Yeah.
they used they brought in, they paid the man. I understand there's a risk in paying him because of that injury, that ACL tear that he had. I get it. But you're going into the draft, you have a high first round pick. I think they were picking 7th overall, and you got an opportunity where you could add a pass rusher that they've been seeking for ages. You can add another offensive lineman if you need to. You could add another corner, like whatever they could have added to help further this roster and make it better quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Quicker turnaround and so forth. That's what a lot of people expected. A lot of Atlanta Falcons fans like yourself, Rise Up, were expecting some new changes, some more improvements, and I get it. I understand why they took the quarterback. I get it, but you could have also gone a different way, and maybe it would have helped the team out more. You know what I mean? Like maybe it could have helped the turnaround a little bit sooner. But we'll see
Right.
because
Right.
they are in a good spot. They are. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, with making this move that not a lot of people anticipated. I know I didn't. That getting Michael Penix now they're like, okay, well, we're going to make this move now. We're going to make him the franchise quarterback. Kirk Cousins, sorry, bud, it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're at where we're at. So for the Atlanta Falcons, we'll see what they can do.
Right.
I think they're a dark horse team, to be honest, this year for me.
Right. And I don't know, like maybe even at the time when they signed Kirk Cousins again, they weren't all sold and they're going to go get Michael Penix Jr. either. You know what I mean?
Right.
They maybe even figured that there was a guy that they liked, and maybe if he fell, like I know at the time in the draft, a lot of people were considering him a second round pick. But maybe it just when they were looking at value, who they had out there, I'm like, hey, do we take a shot at this? Let's do it. And it's not like we haven't seen something like this before.
Right.
Well, at least with the Green Bay Packers, they traded back into the first round to get a quarterback. It wasn't this high. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of surprising too. And Kirk Cousins, he speaks from the heart. I don't think it's like he's like, oh man, I can't believe this happened, because I was obviously going to be the guy. I can't believe a team would ever do this. He
Yeah.
always wants to win. He always wants to be the best out there. He's a competitor.
Mhm.
Of course, he's going to be like, oh, I signed to his team. It gives me a chance to win. They want me to come in and help this team, and that's what he's expecting. I think also in the fact that yes, he has been getting injured more often, and he's in aging. A lot of guys have a hard time facing that. Look at Aaron Rodgers, even contemplating retirement every single year. Tom Brady, going in and out of
Mhm.
retirement. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think he really considers himself in that role yet. I think he really considers himself as one of the top tier quarterbacks. I can contend. I've been to the playoffs multiple times. I
Mhm.
can win and I need to win and I want to win. So I think it's hard for them to look at themselves as, hey, I'm going to come to this team and maybe I'll be that veteran guy. We can maybe win, but if I have to, I will be that veteran presence for somebody else. I just
Right.
don't think he has that in his mindset right now. And
No.
now it just kind of hit him in the face like, oh, that's where I'm at with my career now. Okay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because a year or so prior, he's wearing gold chains with Justin Jefferson partying on the jet. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
I mean, it's tough, but life hits you fast, though. So,
Yeah. One other thing Rise Up had to
mhm.
comment about, he said, "In your opinion, is Drake London a top 10 wide receiver?"
No, I don't think
No,
so.
I mean, for me, I don't think so. Like, I like Drake London a lot. I really do. Um, he's he's got good size. He's tall. He got all that 6'5" and all. He's got the, catching radius and what have you. But to me, Drake London is not someone that is on that elite tier just yet. Maybe he can get there. Not saying he can't be, but for me, I just don't see a guy who kind of takes over games. You know, when everything
Yeah.
is not going right, and this guy just throw it up to him, he's always going to come down to it. I don't see the elite traits that you see other great wide receivers have just yet. That
Hmm.
explosiveness, that playmaking ability. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he can't make those plays. It's
Right.
just I just don't envision him as a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL just right now. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, I said no right away because again, that's what you think of. And when you start thinking of best right now in the NFL, you can start rattling off a bunch. But
Mhm.
even when you get towards 10, I mean, there's 32 teams in the NFL. I mean,
It's up
you
for
try and think
debate.
of the starter for each
Yeah,
one, it's going to fill up pretty quick.
yeah,
And just Drake London isn't on my radar in that. So, um, you get top 15 around there, maybe, we'll look,
right.
but that's something I'd have to dive into a little further. But we
That's something we're
appreciate
gonna
the
have to come
questioning
out
out
with.
there, though. Yeah, I definitely, yeah, an Atlanta Falcons fan, man, throwing it out there. He's got
Yep,
questions. We got answers. You might like it, might not, whatever, though. That's all the fun in it. So,
that's right.
so yeah, I think the defense, biggest question here for the Bengals too as
Mhm,
well. Under the new DC, let's get it done. But hopefully they can, because again, with that offense, you don't want to keep stressing, Joe Burrow and these guys out and having to keep putting all these points on, even though they had to lock up all these guys, these receivers and stuff.
mhm.
You want the defense to stop a bloody nose, at least something, so
Right, that's right.
so, yeah, so
Really.
here we go. So then next we've got the Cleveland Browns here, Joe, as we tackle the AFC and NFC biggest questions here in the North.
Yeah, I mean, for Cleveland, I mean, take your pick on
Mhm.
a big question because there's a lot to digest with Cleveland.
Oh
This
my
is a
God,
team that
who the
wasn't
hell
far removed,
cares?
for their defensive prowess. The offense when it was spitting and sputtering, and it seems like it's been like the last like 3-4 years, maybe even longer than that. They just haven't found the right guy yet.
Mhm.
For the quarterback position. I mean, it goes back decades. It goes like 30 years, where you can just see all these different names get rambled off, and you're like, that guy used to play? Like, is like,
Mhm.
no, they're not existent anymore. They weren't even any good. So they're in a spot now, which is unique because for the first time for Cleveland anyway, they went free agent signing with Joe Flacco. They went trade with Kenny Pickett. They went not one, but two draftable quarterbacks. And I mean, it baffles me. Like, but at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, well, they haven't gotten it right just by picking one guy. So they brought it. They traded for a player. They signed a free agent. They drafted two quarterbacks, and Shador Sanders to be one of them, right? Um, Dylan Gabriel, another. Like, I really like Dylan Gabriel. I think he's going to be really good for them. Maybe not this year, but in the near future. I really do think he's the better of the two, or will end up being the better of the two. Shador Sanders, it's tough because when we tried to evaluate him in the draft process, is he accurate? Yes, he is accurate. He's probably one of the most accurate quarterbacks out of this class. However, his arm, like the way he throws the ball sometimes, it's like a duck. It's like he gives it everything he has at times to throw, especially to throw the deep ball, and a lot of times it falls short. Where the receivers got to make up that distance, they got to make that change in their route running and make a tremendous catch. Look at Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Go back and watch
Mhm.
Colorado film of Travis Hunter, how he had to adjust to Shador's throws.
Well,
Some
even
of
pro
them were
day stuff, you
terrible.
could see some of that too.
Yeah, some of them were
Mhm,
2 yards short. Some of
mhm.
them were the opposite side that it was supposed to be thrown. So, um, receivers have to, like, make up for that. So, with all that being said, you're looking at Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Shador, and Dylan Gabriel all competing for this one starting spot. I got my chips on the table for Joe Flacco, the guy that's a veteran, the guy that's going. He's done it. He's been in Cleveland before and has success. Why not just do it again?
Mhm.
And I think that's the most realistic start anyway to this season is for Flacco to be out there and for the rookies and maybe even Kenny Pickett. I've heard coming out of Cleveland's practices and everything that Kenny Pickett is not doing so hot. Even though they traded for him and they want to give him an opportunity, it just doesn't sound like it's working out. Um, I've also heard that they're prepared to keep all 4 quarterbacks, which would be insane. I've never seen a football team do that before. So, if any of this is true, other guys that more likely would make the team are gonna get cut just for the to make up for those numbers. So, I think this is the biggest question for Cleveland is it's not defense, it's not offense. I know there's a big question about receiving core, how they should probably add more help there, but to me it's the quarterback. They got to get this right this time.
Mhm.
I don't care if you have Flacco on basically training wheels for 1 year and then next year you hand the reins to one of these rookie quarterbacks. But to me, you got to go with the veteran and let him do what he does, and he could honestly win them some games with this team. It's not a terrible team. As much as their record shows in previous seasons that they're actually like a fairly decent team. They need that quarterback to lead them.
Right, right, Joe, and I'm near that same type of question, I guess. But what I thought maybe because I think Joe Flacco is probably gonna be a starter anyways. Like that's a smart, logical
I
thing to
think
do.
so.
That's where you bring him there, the veteran there, and then again, if these guys have something, then maybe we see what they got. And that's why the question for me is, we'll say, they want to try and contend anyways. We get that. The defense is really good. And they again, I think they're lacking weapons here and there, but let's see what they can do on offense, under Kevin Stefanski again, too, Joe Flacco here,
Run the
back
ball.
with the team. So if the season takes a turn for the worse now, for me, the question is, well, which quarterback's going to get to start after that?
Oh,
Is
that's
it going to
easy.
be Dylan Gabriel? Is it going
It's
to
gonna be one of
be
the rookies.
Shador? So, but which one first? Who gets the first crack at it
So let me
after
put
Joe
it to,
Flacco isn't the answer?
let me put it to you this way. Dylan Gabriel got drafted in the 5th round. Shador Sanders was it 7th, 6th, something like that. 7th round, I think he got drafted.
Seventh round.
So Dylan Gabriel, when you get drafted in the 5th round ahead of Shador, the franchise envisions you as a capable and starting quarterback eventually because you got picked in the 5th round. It's not like you got picked in the 3rd round. You got picked in the 5th round. So they think you're a developmental quarterback with the opportunity to start. When you get picked in the 7th round, no matter what position it is, it's just throwing a dart on the board and saying, if he pans out, great. If he doesn't, we didn't invest shit. We're
Right,
just
which I get that, and that's where
we're just
you
we're just gonna hope
evaluate
for the
guys.
best.
Right, right, and I get that, and that maybe that's the way people see him. We know that Mel Kiper Jr. flipped out and was like, "Dude, what the hell is going on? Why is this guy going so far?" But we've seen things happen too, where again, I've got to bring up the fact with what happened with Seattle because it was another telling thing of where teams go to find maybe the next quarterback to fill the gap for them that played well. It was like Kirk Cousins, same thing, where they grabbed Matt Flynn and like signed him some money. I'm like, this guy's gonna be a starter now. We'll draft Russell Wilson late round and we'll see what happens. He played well enough to be named the starter.
Mhm.
So for me, again, I understand what you're saying with Gabriel, but it's not like all of a sudden though teams are also saying, hey, this guy's going to be our next starter. We hope that we can develop him into. We got some value here where he's there still. We can snag him. But sometimes other players fall and play better than the players that you already have on a roster.
That's
Look
true.
at Brock Purdy as well. You think with the last pick in the draft that the San Francisco 49ers like,
Mr.
that's
Relevant.
it, Brock Purdy. There we go. He's going to be our next starter. We already know it.
No.
There it is.
No.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. That was, again,
years before
that was throwing a dart at the board. They liked the tangibles that he was given, and everything else is on him, on how good he's going to be or can be.
Right.
And that's the same thing with Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can it happen? Can you strike when the iron's hot? Sure. It happens, but it's not common. So when you get drafted in the 5th round versus the 7th round, you have a way better opportunity that the team envisions you as a better player that they can work with to develop as a starter. Now, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed eventually you're going to start.
Mm-hmm.
It always depends on the player at that point. When you're getting picked on the 3rd day, any player, they all got to work hard. They all got to do what they have to do to execute and become really good football players. So in no way am I saying it's guaranteed Dillon Gabriel is going to be the favorite and going forward, but I'm just saying for the Cleveland Browns anyway, what they envision him, they really do like Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur based on how they picked him. If they loved Shedeur, it would have been flip-flopped. If they liked him over Dillon, then it would have been the other way around.
But that's what I'm saying is like, because I feel like, again, that's why this is a question for me, because we haven't gone through even training camp here, which they're going to be starting pretty soon, just a few weeks.
Yep.
Chargers are starting on the 16th, I think, so just in another week or so, because they're going to have like the early on preseason game. But
new coaches.
This is what I mean.
Earlier.
So this will, I think, is the question that's going to be answered probably in the next couple of weeks, just because who's going to play better in, camp, and who's going to perform and who might end up winning those spots. That's why people are debating who's the starter. For you and I still think it's the veteran Joe Flacco, because again, he's the veteran. You're better off bringing him there to start. Right. And then again, he can show these guys some other different tips or whatever, or just sitting down, watching a guy that's been a veteran, that's won a Super Bowl, by the way, too. It just makes sense for you. So,
right.
But I'm intrigued in who's going to play well enough in preseason or camp and whatever to be that guy to where, because they're going to slot somebody in that number 2 spot. And it might even be Dillon Gabriel at this point now, but I'm intrigued to see what happens from here until the start of the season. And then if it goes bad, who do they turn to first? It most likely will be Dillon Gabriel, but I mean, it would be interesting, and that would be even to flip the script if it does end up being Shedeur at one point,
But again, it's one of those things. It's like who outdoes who. Like that's really what it comes down to. It really doesn't matter where you get drafted. It really doesn't for the player. It doesn't. But that's how the teams view you. Like so, that's what we're saying. For Shedeur, it's gonna be a tough road for sure. I know that he's got a lot of fans in the front office for Cleveland. I know that if you listen to all the reports out of Cleveland, they're raving about Shedeur. They're saying he's the best quarterback in the room, which I think is insane when you have Flacco there.
Yeah, I know, right?
And with all that being said, that's your hot take, mass media kind of spitting out like
trying to drum it up.
They're trying to pump it up, hype Shedeur Sanders because he was so hyped before the draft. They're trying to just make everybody excited in Cleveland again to really enjoy it. So I'm very curious to see how the breakdown happens, like the depth chart, when we get right before week 1, when we start to really see, who's starting, who's backup, who's third string, and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. But we've also heard that if they really do like all the quarterbacks, that they might keep all 4, which would throw a whole other wrench into everything.
All right, we've got a couple comments lined up. I'm going to hit up Dan quick because he just joined in with us.
What's up, Dan?
He's a Bills fan, diehard here. He's a know-it-all. He says, let's go Bills. We also already know that your Jersey Giants are going to suck because of what they did to do on the O-line to help. Yeah, I get that. Whatever. He's just going to dog my Giants all the time too. Whatever, Dan. It's funny though, because I hinted this to Joe earlier on, so I'm going to throw this out there. It's just a quick story for you guys out there. Shout out to Ty out there too. Disco in the house. Been waiting for you guys. Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, we've been on a hiatus a
Yeah.
little bit, but
Been all over.
holidays and all that stuff too. And we've been working hard lately too. We're doing 2 shows at once and everything, so it's nuts. But I heard a story here. I was listening to the radio on 104.5 The Team, right?
Mhm.
So James Cook, he comes into the Capital Region to do a camp every season, right? At least for
Yeah.
the last 2 years, right?
Right.
He was just here on Monday, coming back from doing his camp this year. I think he had at Christian Brothers Academy.
Mhm.
And he was at Jimmy's Pizzeria doing autograph sessions, right?
Okay.
So Roger Weiland, he's a network great Hall of
Local,
Famer out here,
yeah.
around here. He's been here for 20, 30 years
Upstate
or now.
New York.
Yep, upstate New York out here. Everybody around here knows who Roger Weiland is, right? So he talks to his camera guy and says, hey, listen, I heard James is out there. Go to Jimmy's Pizzeria and try to get something, you know what I mean? An interview, whatever, something, some shots, camera shots, or, whatever, a quick couple questions, whatever you
Yeah.
can out of there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So the guy goes there, right? Because there was nothing going on in the news right here now, right? So he goes there, right? And he shows up. There's a line, long ass line to do autographs and stuff like that, right?
Of
So he
course.
goes, all right,
Yeah.
so who do I talk to? So he talks to management there and stuff. And he's like, hey, I'm with News Channel 13, by the way. I need to get an interview here, or just a few. Can I just get in here whenever I can? I just want to ask a few questions. And they said, all right, listen, well, you could do it, but you can't ask him about his contract situation, right?
Right.
And we just avoid all that. He doesn't want to talk about this at all, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
the guy's like, all right, sure. I'm not going to ask that. That's fine. Whatever. Even though it's the most important thing that's going on, everybody's asking it. Whatever. I can bounce around that and work with that. All right. So
Okay.
that's fine. And then they're like, all right, so let me go talk to him. So they talk to him again. They're like, all right, that's fine. He'll agree to do an interview with you quick, but you have to wait until everybody else is done signing the autographs. When he's done with the autograph session here, he'll spend a few minutes with you. Okay. So he's like, okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I'll chill, whatever. That's fine. So the guy sat there and waited, right? The autograph session gets done. And then he's like, oh, hey, James, what's up? All right. Hey, I'm News Channel 13, blah, blah, blah. And the guy says, James Cook says, yeah, I don't want to talk right now, man. See you later. So he just goes he's like, no. So that guy sat there. He sat there over an hour
Yeah.
waiting for James Cook to be done,
Oh, I bet.
signing autographs, and doesn't even get the interview.
Wow.
So is that on James Cook? Is it on the PR guy? Is it on the bar that promised him something he wasn't going to get? When Roger Weiland heard about this, he's on he was on the radio telling this story, and he's like, oh man, he's like, if I wish I was there. He goes, I wish I was there, because I would have said, a bunch of different things. He goes, I don't know James Cook. I don't know if he's just that type of a jerk or whatever, stuff like that. He was signing autographs and stuff. That's fine. He's like, I don't know him, but if I was there, I would have had some words with him. And which I
Why?
agree. I think that's kind of wrong. I mean, too. I
Well-
mean, if you're there trying to do a job, you're trying to do your thing.
Mhm.
You're representing the Buffalo Bills. Yes, you're doing your camp, and he could even PR'd his camp that some people don't even know about. And the fact that the guy waited there for an hour, and you were just kind of like, yeah, I don't feel like talking. See, it's a few minutes, man.
Yeah.
Ty says that's on James. Daniel says that's on the PR. There you go, the PR
So,
guy. So
here's
there you
the
go.
thing.
So his camp.
Here's the thing. This was not scheduled. Like they didn't
Right.
have a scheduled interview with James Cook after he
Mhm.
signed. So it's kind of like a whim. You heard he was in town. You sent a guy over there randomly and asked permission to interview him after the thing, and that's all cool, but that was only worked between you and whoever he was talking to. It wasn't what they didn't talk to James Cook like personally before this even happened. Like set it all up. Like this is kind of one of those things where like you could blame both sides of this. Could he have spent a few minutes afterwards anyway, even because they agreed to not talk about contract situation, all that? Okay, yeah, fine. I'll answer a couple questions and then I gotta go. He could have done that. But on the other hand, too, this was not set up. It wasn't scheduled for them to meet afterwards to have an interview process and everything. It's spur of the moment. So I don't think it's on anybody, really. Like I think
Mhm.
it's just poorly organized.
Yeah.
Like Roger Weiland heard that he was local and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a Buffalo Bill. We need to get his input on stuff. Send a guy
Mhm.
over there." I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think I don't think it's really anybody's blame. I think it's just kind of
Mhm.
like a situation that happened, and this kind of stuff always happens though.
Yeah.
Like we just don't get to hear about
Right.
everything that happens. So
Yeah.
like I
Well,
don't blame I don't blame either side. Like I get it.
yeah.
They're trying to get a story, they're trying to get some information,
Something.
and at the
Mhm.
same time, you come showing up and saying expecting something. It's like if me and you, Jimmy, just
Mhm.
showed up to the NFL draft and we
Mhm.
want to start interviewing players or prospects that are going to go onto the NFL,
Right.
and we just show up,
Yeah.
not with media tags, not with nothing. We got a
Right.
microphone and a cell phone. We just show up and put it in their face. They could just knock us out. Like
Yeah. No, no, yeah, I get
it,
that. And
it's
what
kind of a weird
that is
thing.
kind of funny though too, because again, if you think about network television, they're finally getting stuck to like to something that you and I would kind of deal with. Because how many times, again, we've kind of talked to some people too, and they're kind of like, "What do you guys have credentials? Like, what are you guys
Right.
doing? We're from here. We do a podcast." They're like, "Yeah, everybody does. Get the hell out of here." You
Yeah.
know. So on the other hand, yeah, I get that. Where it's like, it's at least sometimes some of these local channels are getting it, and maybe that's it. James too is kind of just like, dude, listen,
Mhm.
I didn't have it set up. If you
Yeah.
wanted to talk to me, you and I knew he was going to have camp. Like he has camp here
Yeah,
every single
exactly.
year.
It was
How come you weren't
advertised.
there? How come you weren't trying to do that?
It was
You know what I mean?
advertised. They
So,
could have talked, they could have reached out to his people and try to work something out and maybe organize something, but they didn't. And they thought they could get away with just showing up and making it happen that way. So, um,
mhm.
just one of those things. I don't blame either side. Like I get they're trying to get a story, but on the other side, maybe James Cook halfway through the signing session, but like, you know what? I don't really feel like doing this. I just want to leave.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's like is what it is.
All right, we got a bunch of comments out there. We see you out there, everybody. Shout out to Christian Dickinson out there too.
Hashtag know it alls.
Yeah, everybody out there. He says, here we go. He says, he's just blowing up the comment section here too, spamming it because he doesn't care about the NFC or AFC North at all. We get that. And he thinks, again, he says, Super Bowl is going to be brought back to the Meadowlands. Um, yeah, I don't know about that. Unless they really seriously bring it back so that we can host another team that's not the Giants to for a Super Bowl.
It's
And then
one of the
Daniel's
worst
you
places
haven't
to have
said
a
now
football
there.
game.
Yeah, yeah. Is that
Jimmy,
Jimmy for once agree with your
you and
Jersey
I went
Giants
out
friend?
there. We've seen Giants games
Yeah,
before, and when it's
yeah,
windy and cold, bro, that stadium
yeah.
sucks to be in.
It does. I know. I was so happy the couple times I've gone there that the weather was
Wasn't too bad.
decent, especially
Yeah,
the last time it was nice for that Raiders game.
yeah, it was.
Every time I've gone, the Giants have won. So who knows? But if I was a rich man, I'd go to try and keep the winning
Yeah,
streak
Jimmy,
going. But
you got to go to all the games.
I'm not.
Please.
Like I said, I'll have to do a GoFundMe out there. You guys send me to all the games so we can win. Christian, send me up a
Go
GoFundMe,
fund me.
Christian, and we'll go. I'll bring you with me every single time. We'll do this.
Go.
Uh
We missed a couple of older comments. You want to pull them up?
the draft and start doing the show. Go to the draft. We want to. Again, it's about travel plans and stuff too. We did live stream the draft 2 years in a row now for our
Mm,
other show, the Blindside Blitz on Grumblings Media.
yep.
Those have been fun and they're like 4
Yeah, they
hours
have
long.
been.
So if we do
They
that
have
again,
been
you guys
fun.
stick with that. But again, that's what we look to do eventually is go travel to do that. To
Quick
go to the
question
draft. So,
from Rise Up.
yeah, rise up. Back to you.
Ready
Sorry.
for this
Sorry,
one?
brother.
Is
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson a top 5 running back? I am gonna say no,
No. Yeah.
because there are more than you think elite type of running backs in this league, and not just like veteran guys like Derrick
Mhm.
Henry because he's going to always
Mhm.
be up there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and and Saquon Barkley, what he's been able to
Mhm.
do, but like Josh Jacobs is another guy who's
Yep.
he's elite, but he doesn't get spoken that much
Right.
about being elite. So,
Mhm.
um, and again, like I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Like I got to
Right.
sit down and
Well, that's
actually look
like
at
my
all the
3,
running
like,
backs.
right there so far at
So,
least,
so
right?
my thing is like with these top 10, top 5 conversations, it's debatable for sure.
Mhm.
Bijan
Mhm.
Robinson, do I think he's close to being elite? But the problem is that we need to see more than a couple years. I want him to like become one of those guys because he's a very special running back. He's got to stay healthy too. Like Saquon Barkley is also another guy who was injury riddled for a while in his younger part of his career. And now it seems like he's starting to solidify and stay healthy, and he's producing through the roof. So I think he's top 5 right now? I would say no is a quick answer unless I do some research and like look into it, and maybe I could make a different, um, assumption, but that's what I got for now.
Mhm.
What else? Rise Up had one more thing that I saw. He said, "Who do you all
Yep.
think will win the NFC South this year?" Well, it's interesting that you ask that question. We are not going to answer that right now because we do have our too early division winner special coming up relatively soon. I think in August we do that, right, Jimmy?
Mhm. Yeah, pretty soon,
So
couple weeks. I say 2
so
weeks.
just
We'll
hang
start
in there,
getting to it.
Rise Up.
Yeah.
Hang in there, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe it is the Falcons, maybe it won't be, who knows?
Maybe. uh, He also
Uh,
said that, "Is it just me, or does Penix kinda remind me of a mix of Matt Ryan's accuracy and Mike Vick's arm strength?" I think, that is a interesting dynamic that you put together. That's what
mhm,
I'll say.
mhm.
Uh, Penix is
I think
one of the better quarterbacks coming out of college because of his accuracy, because of his decision
mhm,
making.
mhm.
And yeah, everyone's gonna point to the Notre Dame game where he was just like threw like 4 interceptions and cost them the game basically. So, but you look at his whole career, very safe with the football, accurate, smart, has mobility but doesn't use it. Very little he does. So, I'm very curious to see what in fact he does this year basically as a rookie.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's weird when you do, comparisons like that because I can't get past his throwing motion's different than both those guys go. It kinda throws me off, so I'd have
He's
to look
Michael
at it again and
Penix.
watch it.
That's
So,
what he
yeah,
is.
so exactly. So,
He's Michael
uh,
Penix.
yeah, yeah, it is an interesting combo, though. How about that?
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
Daniel says, "Why go to Jersey to watch a game when you wanna see a New York team go Bills?" Oh, man. Hey, it's closer than driving to Buffalo for us right now, so it's closer for
Right,
us, and it's more south, why do I wanna go all the way out to the snow, you know?
right.
But I've heard a lot about Highmark Stadium out there, and, the new one looks great too so far, so, maybe we will venture out there.
All right, let's get back
So,
on track here.
yeah, let's get back on track. We went off the tracks a little
We're
bit, but we had some good
Hey,
conversations with everybody
yes,
out there.
we
Hell yeah.
appreciate everybody's comments. We appreciate the conversation. It's awesome. So keep it coming. Also, if you're new to the show or if you're just tuning in, even if you tune in later on, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the thumbs up as well because that does help our show get more noticed by other people. Share to all your family and friends and all that good stuff. So back
Winners
to
don't use drugs.
That's
Yeah, that's
also
right.
true. Winners don't
Mhm.
use drugs. So,
Mm.
this is a drug free environment, everyone.
Oh,
Pittsburgh
Dan's out. No.
Steelers,
No.
the Pittsburgh
Uh,
Steelers, Jimmy.
yeah,
What
Steelers.
do
What
you
do you
have
got?
to say
What do I
about the
have to say?
Pittsburgh Steelers? Hey,
All
I'm
right, for
bringing it
me.
in.
All
I'm
right, that
bringing it
sounds
in
good.
to
You're
you,
bringing it in this time. I get it. Switching up.
delivering it.
All right, for me, I guess there's a few different questions, but I guess the biggest one for me is: Are the Steelers a legit Super Bowl team right now? Because yeah, I think they're a playoff contender. They always play better than they have been,
Mhm.
but if you look at Tomlin's record though in the playoffs with whoever quarterback, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. The team's
Mhm.
ability to advance in the postseason remains a significant concern. And whether it's Tomlin or Aaron Rodgers now, if he can guide them to a playoff victory, we're
Right.
going to watch it throughout the season because now you've got DK. Yes, you got George Pickens out there, who some people, again, don't even think is a number one wide receiver. You got DK, who is a legit number one here with you. And a couple other options. You got two now dual threat, I'd say tight ends. Still a good running game. Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, and a good defense still. Even though they did trade away Minka Fitzpatrick, they do have some key parts. Yeah, even though they are aging a little bit at this point, I think they're a true contender. It's just who knows? Will they be able to go? I think Aaron Rodgers still has enough in the tank. I'm still a believer. You might think I'm crazy, but I think some people, again, outside of the media, even the players, if you're respected amongst your peers, that's a bigger thing than whoever else is talking out there. Because
Right.
watching the story on Aaron Rodgers, you've got Jared Goff, you've got other players coming up to him and asking him about, hey man, so what's the deal with the ayahuasca and the the medicine you're taking and stuff like that. Like, what does it really work? Like, what's the deal, man? They're intrigued by it. They're wondering if it works. They're wondering if it'll help make them better. Maybe stretch out, their personal well-being or even their career. So they're intrigued by it. I don't think they think he's a joke that wants to grab a microphone or whatever this. I think he wants to say what's on his mind, and that's what kind of person he is. But I think this is the question for this team going forward is they've done enough winning. Mike Tomlin is a winner. We get that, but the playoff wins aren't there. So, and I think that's why we've been asking ourselves, is he ever on the hot seat? Because, we've seen coaches lose their jobs who continuously make the playoffs, but don't get past that benchmark.
Yeah. Even when we think, it like there was, what was it last season or season before that? I think we had our doubts about the Steelers for that season where, like, I don't know, could this be the time where, like, they actually have a losing season and then maybe Mike Tomlin gets the axe because he, for the first time in so long, things weren't looking too good. They haven't had an answer at quarterback and all that. They technically still don't have a future at quarterback. So Aaron Rodgers is short term. It's this year, and most likely Rodgers is retiring after this year. He damn near almost did before he signed the contract with Pittsburgh. Like, he took a long time to decide. So Rodgers is one part of the puzzle for Pittsburgh where, for me, the biggest question is how much of the dynamic on offense it's changed. Because no more George Pickens. He's gone. The toxicity that was in Pittsburgh, they didn't want to deal with it anymore. They moved him. He's out. He's in Dallas. Okay. They bring in DK Metcalf. Okay. Really good number one type of wide receiver, but he has flaws. He doesn't have the most consistent hands as a deep ball threat. He's very physical and all that. That's all well and good, but I've never seen DK Metcalf be used as a receiver that runs every route in the book. I've never seen him in the short game, like getting like drag routes, getting little slants real quick. Like, I've seen him attack deep down the field a lot in Seattle. And that's kind of what was his go-to, is because he's so big, physical, and fast, he goes for those deep balls. So I'm curious to see what Arthur Smith in this offense, what he has in store for DK Metcalf. Is he going to use him in every capacity available to open this up? And then after DK, who's the next guy? Just who the fuck is the next guy? Because you have Mr. Austin, who's kind of like the slot wide receiver that they have. Roman Wilson, who was a draft pick a year ago, he had an injury, didn't even play last year. He's coming back healthy. I'm excited to see what he might be able to do because he reminds me a lot of, like, similar to Ladd McConkey, a guy who's very quick, shifty, has speed too. So my thing is this dynamic of offense that they have. It's not the same. Najee Harris is not even there anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So it's next man up mentality. Who's going to take the throne at running back? Who's going to be the number 2 wide receiver? Maybe number 3 wide receiver? Like, there's a lot of question marks, I think, going forward. And the offensive line, is it solidified enough for a guy like Aaron Rodgers? You don't have Justin Fields back there. You don't have Russell Wilson with the mobility he had. You got Rodgers, who's basically a statue. He can't run away from a threat. So for me, it's going to be critical offensively. Defensively, we know Pittsburgh's good. Pittsburgh's always solid. Their defense is always really good. Now, you got the other, horse and buggy with TJ Watt and what's going to happen there with contract going forward. That's going to iron itself out later. But then you had this trade, which kind of perplexed me, with Minkah Fitzpatrick sending him away back to Miami to get another physical corner like Joey Porter Jr., but older, and Ramsey. So now you have 2 physical corners. That's all well and good. It might fit your scheme very well. But what happens when those guys get exposed against better wide receivers? They can't stay with them. We've seen it happen to Ramsey. We've seen it happen to Porter. So my thing is, The bigger question for me is offense, but the dynamic has changed immensely in Pittsburgh. So I don't know how fast they can gel and get that chemistry down this upcoming season to make a push, because that's what
Mhm.
this is. They are making moves to win now.
Mhm.
This is not, oh, we got Rodgers for 1 year. We're going to see what we can do and then maybe go in the draft and draft our future guy. And no, Mike Tomlin's trying to win now. You don't trade for a corner like Patrick Ramsey with his big, big contract and make the move for DK Metcalf and sign Aaron Rodgers to just be kind of competitive. So, do the wheels fall off at the end of the season? And does Mike Tomlin have a leg to stand on?
Mhm.
Because all these moves are going to come down, raining down hard on Tomlin if it doesn't work out. So,
Yeah.
the offense is going to be critical in that movement, critical in what they can do. That to me is, for me anyway, that's like the biggest question for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get that too. I mean, and that's part of this whole, journey for the season and that push and what you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
To where even some people consider or figure a question is, how are those guys? They might respect each other and know each other and blah blah. Even Aaron Rodgers said, "Hey, I'm excited to play for Mike. I respect him for a while, but how outspoken Aaron Rodgers is, how outspoken Mike Tomlin is. I don't think
Mm,
there's going to be an issue just because, again, with all the issues that they've had, kept in house that people didn't know about until after the departure of some players. I don't think there's going to be any issues. I don't think it's going to be like oil and vinegar, Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers at all. So I don't think they'll make that work. But I'm interested to see what happens. Yeah, and that's obviously a legit question. All right, so moving on to the NFC North, we've got the Bears. Joe, what do you got for the questions here for the Bears?
Caleb Williams, did you get your head out of your ass? Um, because here's the thing is, so last year he came into actually he's the only rookie quarterback to ever come into a situation like that in Chicago. Good defense already there. Offensive weapons, they surrounded him with them. Offensive line, you could nitpick and say, yeah, it was
Mhm.
bogus. It wasn't that good. But he didn't help himself either last year as a rookie. I don't know um, what was being taught there in Chicago with Eberflus. It didn't seem like much learning at all. And defensive minded guy, you draft a quarterback like that you need to groom, and you just don't have a good enough coach to groom him and get him to the high level that he should be playing at. So
Yeah.
uh I know lightning doesn't hit right away for rookie quarterbacks sometimes, and there is a developmental process that guys like Caleb Williams are going to have to go through. And for Caleb, his struggles last year was holding on to the football too long,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
delivering it when it needed to be delivered, and thus causing a lot of problems for the offensive line and breaking down in plays and him being sacked and sometimes turnovers happened. So for him, it's going to be now with new coach from formerly the Detroit Lions, you know, um, with him coming over to Chicago. He's supposed to be the offensive guru. He's supposed to be a
Mhm.
guy who can make magic happen. And that's where the hype is. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that.
Right.
And the biggest thing is, can you get Caleb to play at a starting quarterback level in a few months?
Mhm.
Because he has these terrible tendencies back from way back in college, and they're still there now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be able to work out all the wrinkles. He might be able to work out some, but man, Ben Johnson, you got a lot on your plate right now for a guy who's been crowned basically the best offensive coordinator. Um, I'm not really sure if he's going to have all the answers. And for to be honest, with the way Caleb Williams has been progressing, he looks great in practice. Of
Yeah.
course, it's
Yep.
easy.
Mhm.
But when it comes time when the lights are on and you're on the football field and you got to make some critical decision making with 2 seconds, that's when we're going to really see just how well he's progressed.
Right. And for me, again, the same basically type of question I have. Will Caleb Williams have a breakout year under Ben Johnson's offense?
It's his
And
first year, so I don't think it's going to be a breakout year, but it could be
well,
better.
the thing is, if you look at Caleb Williams last year, he threw for 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, threw for 62.5% in completions,
Which
but he
isn't
was also sacked 68 times, like you talked about. When you're
Yeah.
getting hit that many times and sacked, he
Mhm.
took the blame for a lot of it though too. He owned it
Right.
that he was, running around a little too much, holding on to the ball a little too much on top of it. But like you said, when you have talent like he does, which he shows that he does, he's has capability of doing a lot of different things, but not being, really reeled in, a wild stallion that could run fast and blah, 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 that's going, just still a stallion and it's doing some crazy stuff. But if it's not tamed, it's just a wild horse. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's what I feel like with Caleb Williams. He didn't have that last year to kind of reel him in, see the tendencies he was doing, have somebody to say, hey, what did you see there? Because we were doing this. This is one of the things that Ben Johnson had noticed, even though he did get sacked 68 times. He said your body language, getting up slow, kind of slumping. They feel that. We need you to
Yeah.
be along with this team, be that leader, be energized, say, whatever, I'm getting up. Let's get back to it, get back to the huddle, do this. And then also pre-snap reads. There was times when he was looking like left, looking for motion, and it was actually to the right. So he
Mhm.
wasn't even getting that. So things like that he's got to kind of be better at in that Ben Johnson's, like you said, unfortunately for Ben Johnson, that's going to be deemed or labeled on
Yeah.
him to try and fix.
Mhm.
And that's what
And
we're
there's
looking to see if that does, because there were times there was up and then there was down. You're like, hey, look at Caleb Williams. And that we see this with media too, especially guys. If you're in a camp, and especially Kuiper's on this, I'm in this camp, rah, this guy is this. And
Right.
he ain't getting it, but once he is, you're like, see, there it is. Boom.
Right.
He's on, and the lights were on, and they said, look at Caleb Williams. And then once the down times were coming, crickets, right? Crickets
Yeah.
out there.
You didn't hear
Nothing.
from him.
And so this is what they've got to kind of bring in to where you're not having those ups and downs. You're kind of fixing what you're doing. It's tough to do because old habits are hard to break, especially
Right.
when people have been telling you in the college game, especially, it's on you. What you're doing is good. You're winning us games.
That's right. That's all that college counts on.
Yeah,
That's all they care
exactly.
about.
So
They don't
that's
care
what you
about
gotta try
how
and break.
good you're going to be at the next level. They're not trying to teach you to be better for the NFL.
Right.
And that's the thing is he's had so many bad habits and they haven't been broken yet. His footwork is horrendous.
Mhm.
His body language when he throws, it's off script. It's just not
Yeah.
in line. Tom Brady is super critical about that. Like
Mhm.
he's all about your body from your feet all the way up to your throwing motion, all in sync.
Yep.
And you don't see that from Caleb. The
Mhm.
problem with Caleb Williams in college is the fact that he was spoon fed in college football. We want you to throw to this receiver on this play, and that's it. If he's not open, just make something happen. And that was pretty much the offense. It was a one read offense. It was insane. And now you're in the NFL where you have to progress. You have to make quick decisions. You have to get rid of the ball on time. And that's just not what he's good at. So
I want to give a special shout out to our voice actor out
the
there,
man, the myth, the
Stephen
legend.
Murray out there.
That
That's
is
right.
Stephen Murray.
That's right.
That's our
Stephen
guy.
Murray.
Voice actor
Hashtag know-it-alls.
garage.com. Look him up. This dude is amazing. The voices that he can do and how well he does them is insane. You close your eyes and you think you're talking to Morgan
You think
Freeman.
that's
You
right.
close your
Somebody
eyes,
else.
you think you're talking to Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, this guy is super talented. So
Yeah,
give him a shout
absolutely.
out.
He's doing a lot of big things, man.
He's
He's
got a
getting way
YouTube channel,
above
too.
our league right now, man. It's like we're barely hanging on to him here because he's elevating his
Blowing
game.
up. He's blowing up.
So yeah, I had a good time with him 2 weeks ago or so. We went to Babs Bash 2 down near the city. I had a lot of fun. It was good. It was a good time meeting those guys out there.
Don't forget the
From
little
Mad
people,
Dog
Steve.
Radio. So yeah,
Don't
Steve,
forget the little
don't forget us out there. So yeah, Caleb Williams. That's what I think this question too here. So moving on. Let's go with the Lions here. For me, the Lions, I guess at this point, and everybody knows, hey, Ben Johnson's not there. How are you guys going to adapt this?
Mhm.
I'm looking at it as too, if you look at their schedule, it's like really tough, man. So not only is it the question of like how do you guys respond to losing your
Mhm.
coordinators and stuff, how you do that.
Yeah.
Not only to do that, it's almost like the people who made these schedules are almost like they're Lions haters. Are like, all right, you
Yeah,
lost
doing it
your
on purpose.
coordinators. You're like, you guys, it's time for you to suck again. You guys, you made it to the Super Bowl, you made it to the playoffs. You were
Yeah,
like a top seed,
yeah.
and you shit the bed, man. We
We need
gave
to
you an
bring it down a
opportunity. We
peg or
put you
2.
there. Now you're getting kicked in the nuts. If you look at their schedule, it is super tough. They have a lot of tough competition here,
Mhm.
all playoff teams. But
Yeah.
can the Lions now even return to the playoffs? That's what I'm saying here after this, you know? It's tough. So I'm not even
I
saying can
mean,
they get back and even be a Super Bowl contender. It's
yeah.
tough after this.
I mean, I think so. I mean, they have a complete roster. If they didn't have a complete roster, then I could say, yeah, they lost not only their coordinators, but they lost like, 30% of what they had before as starters. Then, yeah,
Mhm.
you could start to really question, like, do they have what it takes to get back to that high level? But they still have everybody. They re-signed all their offensive linemen. They had to re-sign. All the key components to this roster are locked in for the long haul. So yes, losing coordinators does matter. It is a big deal. But also the guys that took their spots have been learning under the guys like Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They've been learning for years underneath them how they call defense, how they call offense, what in certain game situations and all that. So they're they're prepared to take over. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to be as good. Maybe, you never know, but they are ready to take over. And yeah, you know what? The game might go a little bit differently and not as smoothly, especially early on in the season. But as you get closer to the end, that's when you start to really see teams kind of lock in and gel. So we'll see. I think they can. I mean, the roster alone is going to help them out tremendously. And
Mm.
if you have, uh, you know, anything close to being successful as Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. I know those are big shoes to fill,
Mhm.
but these are capable coaches. Like they've been learning under those guys. So now it's their time to shine and we'll see if they can do that. But they got the roster to do it. Like there's no doubt about it.
Right. I get it. But again, when you're facing teams like the teams that they face here, you've got the AFC West, right? So you've
Mhm.
got the Ravens, you've got the Bengals, they're facing the Chiefs, they're facing the Bucks, they're facing the Commanders, they're facing the Vikings, who is always tough, you know.
Mhm.
The Packers too is always too. Now maybe even the Bears being better. You know, they got to see them twice. They got the
Yep.
Eagles they have to face, the Cowboys. You know, who knows what we're going to see out of the
Yeah, they
Cowboys.
faced everybody in
But
their division
the
twice.
Rams, the Steelers could be better here with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, so and that's their schedule. So I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of tough, playoff contending teams. So
Yeah. And same
I think
thing.
it's going to be a rough road for them, and
I
not
think
only just leave the coordinator thing out of it.
it's the same thing for all these playoff teams. They
Mhm,
all got very difficult schedules now.
mhm,
So, don't matter if you lost your coordinator or not. It's just going to be a bumpy ride no matter what. So, uh, teams like the Eagles, teams like the Chiefs,
mhm,
they all got
mhm.
really difficult schedules. So, bring your A game. But
All right,
all these teams are going to be ready to go.
all right. So Lions, are you on board with that same question or an idea of that? Or you got something else for the Lions?
No,
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 you're
I
good.
don't. I
Yeah.
don't
All
have a
right. Good.
question for them.
Hmm.
I really
Hmm.
don't. I think
Okay.
I'm not going to. My thing is I'm not overreacting to because they lost their
Right.
coordinators. I
No.
know they are
Exactly.
very good
Hmm.
coordinators. I get it.
Hmm.
And that's the thing is Detroit Lions fans are panicking because like we don't have Ben Johnson, we don't have Aaron Glenn. Man, our defense is gonna suck. How's it gonna suck? Have you
Well,
looked at it? So
right.
and the guys that are underneath him that are taking those jobs, they have similarities. They have the same kind of mindset as those gentlemen. So
Well, you got to have faith in the way your organization's being run.
yeah,
Look how many good organizations get their personnel stripped every year. You know what I
hmm
mean?
yeah,
A lot of times the Chiefs, especially, were getting people looked at coordinators. Eric Bieniemy was always getting shopped. Oh, you know what I mean?
yeah, right,
Eagles lost guys, Steichen and stuff, to be a head coach over there too for the Colts. So they've gone through a few offensive
true,
coordinators,
true,
and they're still winning. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So if you're a good franchise and making the right moves,
hmm
you're going to be okay.
And
So
kudos to Detroit because that is a compliment from the league
right,
that
yeah,
we want to pick from your coaching staff.
hmm
So
yeah.
we'll see if it continues. But I mean, I guess the only big question I would have is, did Sam Laporta send a thank you letter to Jared Goff in the offseason? Because I think he forgot about him, and he
Yeah,
was probably upset because maybe he was talking to his wife. We don't
yeah,
really know for
perhaps,
sure,
yeah.
but maybe they've made up for it. And the big question is, will we see a Sam Laporta Jared Goff connection this year?
We shall find out. I guess maybe that is the biggest
Because he
question
was
for them.
irrelevant last
Yeah,
season.
he was. He was. I don't know, man. It's
I
all
picked
right.
him on my fantasy team, and he did
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh, yeah. That does suck. All right. So next we've got the Packers here. Joe, what do you got for a biggest question for the Packers?
Packers, man, stay healthy. Can they stay healthy?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like it
uh,
seems like the wide receiving core was just it was like an ER in Green Bay. Like there was always guys going down with injuries, not just serious ones, but even just nagging ones, like a pulled hamstring or a guy tweaked his ankle and couldn't play the following week. It was just one of these weird things. And for Green Bay, the other thing too is like, Jordan Love. Is he the answer? Because
mm,
for me, last year a lot of people were hyped about Love coming in for this season and kind of tearing it up, or I should say last season. We're going to tear up the league because he got familiar with his wide receiving weapons. They added to it. They got better offensive linemen. There was a youth movement happening. Josh Jacobs comes into the picture. So you're thinking like, oh man, what we saw from him 2 years ago, now with Josh Jacobs, we're going to tear through this division. No one's going to be able to stop our offense.
You like that?
And that's not what happened at times. A lot of times we saw Jordan Love not play very good football. We've
mhm.
seen him struggle even in certain games. And honestly, I got a big question mark about him going into this year. Are we going to see that guy very inconsistent, not able to make the plays, overthrowing players, underthrowing players, not making the right read, or are we going to see the guy 2 years ago where he was shredding defenses and nobody really could do too much. The guy was just insanely good 2 years ago. So, going into 2025, are we gonna see any kind of offense for Green Bay? That's for me. Because defensively, I feel like they've gone through a period of adding younger talent, adding guy there's other guys that are getting starting positions now. The youth movement is starting to rear its head with Luke Van Ness now starting it in that role on the D line. So we'll see. I mean, defensively, I'm not worried about. Offensively, with Jordan Love, though, to me, he's my question.
Yeah, and that's my question too. But for me, it's even playoff time. It's one thing he's been okay even during the regular season, but like you said, even too, injuries will play into that. But if you're a top tier quarterback too, you got to kind of elevate the
Got to
team
overcome it.
on top of it. And there were times to where he missed guys or whatever, and then he's kind of got that almost that body language too, where he's kind of like not, he's looking down about it. It's kind of like just whatever, this and blah blah blah. But key things is again a slump year. We'll say his sophomore year as a true starter here for them
Yeah,
in the playoffs, especially.
right.
Year prior, they were 1-1. I mind you though too, 67% throwing, but when it came playoff time, altogether he's 3-3, 5 touchdowns, 5 ints. So that will easily tag you as a bust in the playoffs. Yes, he has one more win than Dak Prescott has, which I get too. But sorry, whenever I can throw it out there and throw a punch at
Oh
the
boy,
Cowboys fans, like I'll do
there you
it.
go.
But 3-3 in the playoffs, 5 touchdowns, 5 ints, not good. And with a team like Green Bay under Matt LaFleur, what they've been able to do, you talk about the offense, but they were still a top 10 offense. A lot of it, though, again, I get it, was under Josh Jacobs and the addition that they had with him. When you
Yeah,
have talent like you do and what the defense was doing too on top of it, you need your quarterback to play at a better level, especially in the playoffs. And that's what we saw the difference this previous playoffs where Jalen Hurts stepped up and others didn't play so hot. Sam Darnold didn't play so hot in the playoffs. Even Jared Goff didn't play well in the playoffs. And Jordan Love on top of it as well did not play well in the playoffs. And that's everything. Because right there, the season starts over again. So it's win or go home. And he's going home. So I think this year he needs to bounce back, get back to what we saw that previous year, 2 years ago, and lead this team further into the playoffs and make an honest playoff run.
Yeah, hopefully they don't rely, and I think that might have been part of it too. Maybe it was a mentality that since they got Josh Jacobs, that he was kind of under the thinking that, well, all the
He's the
pressure is going to be on
workload.
Jacobs. I don't have to. I can just hand the ball off. He's going to save me. So he wasn't in tune, wasn't as focused as he probably should have been for the whole season. And the other big thing for him now is, like you said, can he turn it on? Can he get back to that production that he had 2 years ago? And
Right.
even so, even if he does, you still got to make it to the playoffs to prove anything. So first handle regular season. We want to see the Jordan Love from 2 years ago.
Right.
And after you do that and you make it into the playoffs, then it's time to prove to all the doubters like, hey, no, I'm still a better quarterback than what my previous stats in the playoffs were. So we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. But before that, we got to talk about the Vikings.
Yep, absolutely, Joe. All right, for the Vikings, for me, with high expectations that analysts,
A lot of hype.
fans
There's a lot of
especially
hype.
have, because again, you've been winning, you've been doing pretty good. You moved on from Kirk Cousins, you get Sam Darnold, surprises people. They make it far into the playoffs, or not far in the playoffs, but they do well during the regular season, and then they're like a top seed and they get knocked off.
Right.
So you're kind of like,
Yeah.
all right, well, we don't have Sam Darnold. JJ McCarthy, like I said, you're getting the keys to the Ferrari, which this guy hasn't even had an NFL start right now. So there's a lot of trust in, Kevin O'Connell and what this team has. Well, again, with the talent that they have on defense, offense, what are you going to get here? So with the high expectations that they have with that great run with Sam Darnold at quarterback, can JJ McCarthy kind of lead them back to the playoffs at this point is what my question is. Not only just win or whatever. I'm not even expecting to be like a Super Bowl contender at this point. I just want to see, can he kind of do the same? Can he get them with the high expectations? Kind of what's he got to do to show that he can be the quarterback for this team?
For me, for JJ, I don't have expectations. I I don't think I think he was kind of rushed into this job. I don't think honestly, really don't think that they wanted to start him this year. I think they were hoping to re-sign Sam Darnold. It just never happened. It never worked out. And I don't think they wanted to rush into this, but now they're here. They drafted JJ McCarthy high, and now it's time to kind of see what you got out of him. And I know that the hype is crazy high right now because he's the new shiny toy. He's young, he's got mobility, he's got a strong arm, he can throw a nice ball, all that. But what he was able to accomplish at Michigan was throwing to wide open wide receivers. In the NFL, you're not going to have that grace, that large amount of space between wide receiver and corner in the wide open and all that. A lot of times, he's going to have to make some very difficult throws, and I haven't seen enough of them. Especially in the NFL level, we haven't seen him take one
No,
snap.
no.
So,
Right.
like my problem with this is like for me for the Vikings is how good is their offense going to be?
Yeah.
Like because it's not really focused on JJ. It's focused on the offense in its entirety because they have a rookie quarterback, a guy who is coming off of a major injury too, mind you.
Yeah.
So I listen, I like the talent. I do like the kid. I think he has the talent to maybe develop into a starter, but there's just a lot of chips stacked up against him right now and this offense. Somehow they're going to have to figure out, and maybe not put so much pressure on him on the start,
Mhm.
and maybe try to just create an offense to where you get the ball out to Jordan Addison, you get the ball out to Justin Jefferson, not always attacking deep, but just taking those 5 yards, taking the 7 yards, the easy yards, and try to develop confidence with them early on. Um, but I think this is going to be a huge challenge for Minnesota, is because now you don't have that threat of having a veteran quarterback back there where defenses will have to respect it. This is
Mhm.
basically a rookie quarterback where defenses are going to be a lot more aggressive now. They
Yeah.
want they want JJ McCarthy to prove them wrong. So they're going to be aggressive. They're going to get after him. They're going to blitz him. And he might not see some things he might see some things that he's never seen before
Mhm.
defensively.
Mhm.
Last second adjustments where you think it's cover 3 and then all of a sudden it's man press. Like stuff like that last second, he's going to have to make progress through the play right there and then. So with seconds to decide. So I mean that's going to be the huge challenge for them. And then with that being said, that's going to make it harder on your run game because if he can't
Mhm.
succeed and back that defense up with his passing ability, the runners aren't going to have much room to run the football. So the Minnesota Vikings offense for me is a major concern, and I think that they're going to struggle early on, and maybe just maybe, and it's going to really depend on JJ and how well he handles this his rookie year to see how
Right.
well they can how much better they can be at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I think it's a kind of like it's a real question for me because like you said, you've had other even say a veteran or somebody. You had Sam Darnold there. You did great. Let's bring him back again. Give JJ time. He's the
They
guy we
tried.
expect to
Yeah.
be the future.
Mhm.
But now, is it arrogance? Is it confidence, overconfident that you just said, fuck it, there you go. See you later, Sam. Now we've got
No, they
Sam
tried to resign him.
Howell behind it. Yeah, I know, but then it just say, screw it. That's what I'm saying. With a team that's this good right now, if the quarterback isn't playing well at all, I mean, that's just going to kill everything, and there's nowhere to turn to. You're not going to turn to
No,
Sam Howell. You're not going to turn to Brett Rippin after that. You
no.
just have to suck it up and
Right,
go
'cause
for it.
yeah.
And like you said, I think they're going to potentially just try and run heavily with, you know, Aaron Jones. You got Jordan Mason there now, maybe
Mhm.
1-2
I like
punch
Jordan
punch a
Mason,
little
yeah.
bit here
Right,
and get a good running game, sort of like with Michigan. Get the running
right.
game going. Don't put us out of games. You have enough weapons that you could do something with, but don't make the bonehead mistakes. And I think that's where they kind of like him is the fact that he's not going to make the bonehead mistakes. They're going to keep it, you know, pretty balanced for him. So he has an opportunity to, do well, but it's a lot riding on it though. I mean, I mean, it's a lot to put this out there just for him to be there with really nobody behind him. So, I
No,
mean,
and
that's the big question.
yeah, and that's the thing is they tried to keep Sam Darnold there.
No, I
They
get
just
that.
weren't gonna be they couldn't they didn't want to and they couldn't
Mhm,
afford to give him the money that he
mhm,
was looking for,
mhm,
to keep him, and then honestly, with JJ, they didn't wanna give him I think this is really what it came down to is, like, length of contract. Sam Darnold wanted at least a 3-year deal, and Minnesota was like, "Well, we did draft JJ, so could we do a 2-year deal? Could we do a 1 year with an option year?" Like, that's kinda what they were really looking for, to have some maneuverability that when it came time, they could just put JJ in when he was ready, and that's not what Sam wanted. He wanted long-term job security and to be a starter. So, it boiled right down to that, and that's why they couldn't make that deal happen, and now listen, they chose JJ for a reason. They believe that he is the future. It just unfortunately the future happens to be right now, and I think it's not at the right time for Minnesota. I think they wanted to wait at least another year, before they handed over the reins, but it's gonna be a big challenge for them offensively. We'll see if they can handle it.
Yep, absolutely, Joe. So, I mean, there you go. There's our biggest questions for the AFC North and the NFC North. Let us know in the comments again your questions out there, whether it be about this division or everything else you got out there too. We've already heard a bunch out there. We appreciate the comments out there.
Mhm.
Make sure you guys like the video too as well. Joe, tell them one more time too where they can subscribe to the show and get more shows.
Yeah, I mean, just head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's that little rectangle button there. It's really easy. It's absolutely free. It
Yeah,
is.
it is. It
I
is.
know it's
It's
I
free.
know it's
You
shocking.
won't get in trouble for touching.
There's
That's
no
right.
subscription. You don't have to pay $5.99 a month. Like it's absolutely free, and that's the goodness out of our hearts. We're doing that for you guys. Absolutely free. Hit the subscription. Hit the thumbs up while you're there too. It helps let YouTube know that hey, people actually like this show and they want more people to see it. And then don't forget to share it as well.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. So we're going to wrap up for the show with something we don't normally do, but we're going to talk about this just
Game
because
review.
game review, because our buddy was involved in this games, at least the testing phase and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
maximum football, right?
Yes.
One of these games again that people are trying to um, see if it can kind of rival, Madden, right? So let's see if
Yeah.
it can kind of be there and be one of these games to where, it's similar, which give you another option. And this one particular right now is in preview phase still. So they're still working out bugs as you play it.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's free to play. So at least right now,
Yeah.
which is always good too. So
Right.
you can expect some stuff, but how much do you expect, right?
I mean, it's a
Let's
free game. I mean,
exactly.
let's start with that. It's absolutely free. So people that really love football,
Mhm.
it. Don't get me wrong. Like there's some negative aspects to it, but I understand with the understanding that it is free and that they're working on it and they're trying to get it all honed in. I understand all that. They've
Mhm.
worked out a ton of bugs before they released it, but it still has some work to do for sure.
All right. So when we get started here, Joe, let's talk about what we kind of like about it right now.
Okay.
Because I think if we talk about the positive, that's a good thing first. And then we'll get into some of the negative too. Again, and
There's a lot of
we
negatives.
know it's a lot of negative. But if you look at the older versions though, and it used to be Doug Flutie's Maximum Football, right? He's no
Yeah,
longer on it as the endorsement,
yeah.
which is
No longer a
fine.
part
But
of it.
for me, graphics wise, I think it's been a huge step up. I think the graphics are a lot better than the old versions. They're competing with
True.
Madden, I think, in that aspect.
Yeah.
I like the display of how it's done pre-game.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
players hyped up,
Yep. The intro to the game and all that.
intros,
Yes.
and then also touchdown celebrations, the same type of thing. You could do
Yeah.
swagger, you could do
Same.
flex, whatever you
Yeah.
want to do.
Same deal.
Same
Yeah.
type of Madden feel.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's one positive thing I like about it, Joe. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah. I really like. I do I like the fact that for maximum football, like the teams that you're picking, they're not real teams.
Mm,
They're like made up teams. You can even customize your own team, and it makes it your own.
mhm.
Like you can pick like, I don't know, like a sombrero as your logo, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you just make up a name and just like we're the south of the border cadets or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And
Right,
and,
right.
and you can create you can create the uniform from head to toe. You can make really kind of like get ingrained in the creativity part of it. um, I do like the fact that the graphics, like you were mentioning, like the colors are nice, the graphics, you can even see blades of the grass, like it's
Mhm,
pretty nice.
mhm,
Um, I like I and I cr- You can criticize a lot with Madden in facial features, and I
mhm.
feel like in Maximum Football, the facial features are way better. I
Yeah.
feel like they're a little bit crispier. And like you said, like with the intros and stuff and everything, that's like another aspect to this game that kind of brings it to life, really. Like
Right.
you get to feel like you're actually part of this football team. Like you're
Mhm.
running out of the tunnel. You know what I mean? You got smoke going and all that. You run on
Yeah.
the football field and you get it. I'm really enjoying that part of it.
Mhm. I think too aspect too that I like is it's not as good still as remember the old ESPN game with TO and everything
2K5.
on it? Right. Their halftime type of show kind of tries to get back to that to where they're showing you like stats from the
Yeah.
game or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. It
yeah.
tries to do like a
Right.
halftime show to it,
Right. Yeah.
which I like that kind of touch on it, which I think is always a good thing to kind of bring into it that Madden
Mhm.
has kind of lacked a little bit
Yeah, it
on.
feels more
It
realistic
feels
now.
more realistic, like it's
Yeah.
a broadcast game you're
And there's
watching.
highlights.
Right,
Like, there's
right,
the highlight part of it, like, back with 2K5, they used to do that, like, halftime
right.
highlights for your game,
Highlights from it.
which was really cool. And, yeah,
Mhm,
it could have been only, like, 3 or 4, but so what?
mhm.
It's kind of trying to bringing that television viewing feel,
Right,
even though you're playing the game, but to keep you kind of, like, entertained and engaged with it. So,
right.
I do really like the highlight part of it as well. So they're bringing some elements from older games and making it more modernized.
Mhm, mhm. And I do like the customization of what you could do colors-wise, jerseys, everything, all
Mhm.
that stuff.
Yep.
And, um, we'll get into customization and some of the stuff I don't like, but let me touch on some of the stuff I like though again.
Yeah.
And as far as gameplay,
Mhm.
I think the physics of running the ball and defensive playing and tackling, as far as being like a secondary player, a corner, something like that, but then also going and tackle, the hits are huge and really like make you feel like bigger hits and there's no hit stick really. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yeah.
just the tackles, the hits are just big. You're like, holy crap, where the frig did that guy come out of? You know what I mean? You could get blasted. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm a running back. I can get the ball handed to me. I make a move and I can miss a player. Not like in Madden to where I'm instantly wrapped up, like I'm
Mhm.
screwed. I can still make a guy miss. And I think the running is smooth. I think I like about that too. The running, when you have the ball, you can make some plays and run. And I think just the reaction just seems smooth, not so herky jerky. I like that about that too. But there are parts about the physics I don't like as well.
Exactly. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I do like the movement of the players.
Hmm.
I am not crazy about the so-called action moves.
Hmm.
I'm not. They remind me too much of old school Madden where they're a little bit delayed and you have to like time it. You got to time it almost earlier than you would want to make the move. And
Yeah.
then sometimes that timing it earlier screws you because you do it too early.
Yeah.
So, uh, for me, I loved it's like one of my or actually my favorite football game, honestly, is the old NCAA football college football game. That to me had the best movement. It had like your juke moves were literally like you would see on
Mhm,
live TV.
mhm,
Spin moves, all of that stuff. It wasn't really a timing thing. It was more like it reacted the way it should when you wanted it and you saw the reaction of the other player in real time. In this game with Maximum Football, I don't get that same feel. It feels almost like a puzzle that I have to figure out right before I actually do the action.
mhm,
And there's a timing pattern involved, and if you're not good at it, you're gonna struggle.
mhm,
And I feel like it takes some of the fun element out of the game that way.
mhm. I feel like contested balls, I still have a shot to catch though too in this game.
Yes. The
Contested, even
action
if they're
movement for
batted,
that.
I think for that, it's up there, it's
Yeah.
moving, and you still have a
It's
shot. It's
better.
not like if it's a jump, like the defense automatically snags it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
It's definitely I feel like I can make a contested one, not like
There
Madden to where
was
like, "Oh, you're
yeah.
screwed,"
To
you
your
know?
point, there was a red zone play that I was playing a game and, um, it was lobbed up in the back corner to their tight end,
Mhm,
and my safety was over there, and I just jumped up, and
mhm.
we both actually tried to catch the ball, but it ended up just fumbling out of bounds.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It was an incomplete pass.
yeah,
Otherwise, in Madden, it goes either to the offense or defense. There's no
mhm,
in between. There's
yeah.
no like you both contested it and you both kind of had it, but then it just ends up falling out of. You know what I mean? So
Right.
with this, there's some elements to this game that make it more realistic.
Hmm. I think for some parts on the defense as well as one more positive for me, I feel like the corners and some of the defensive players react by themselves without
Yes,
me having to do it.
right.
There's a corner that they even mark now too. They added this. They didn't have it before, but they have like players that are star players that have kind of like maybe that attribute or whatever
Mhm, mhm,
that um he's covering on the route, but then he notices the route and decides to jump the route.
mhm.
Where normally in Madden, I have to
Yeah,
switch to that player to make him do that at all.
right,
So
right.
the AI, like the smart,
Yep.
effects that these players have here, what they've done with the AI generated players is way better, I think, in that aspect of playing corner to where I don't feel like I have to do every single defensive move to cover it, to
Mhm,
cover my weaknesses because the AI can cover it too. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
That's one positive, I think.
One other thing
Um,
that I'll say too about a positive is like I love the trench warfare. It feels real. It doesn't
it,
feel synthetic or fake or like, oh, because I hit a button at the right time, I just easily go by the guy. You really
yeah,
have to like
you
know
have to
your
work
moves,
for it,
know
man.
how to implement them, and it feels more realistic that way. Uh, and to your point too, like I feel like the AI intelligence of the game is superior to Madden
Mhm.
because to your point, I got an interception and I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Like my outside linebacker picked the ball off and there was a tight end going on a slant
yeah,
and he picked it off and it's like, "Oh, we got it."
yeah, yeah, he was reading it,
I
right?
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like one of these cool things. So like when you watch it progress through the play, you can even see that secondary wise with the linebacking core. It seems like they are it's almost like all of your buddies have a player that they're controlling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
it's
that's
actually
kind of what it
responding like
feels
you
like.
would want your defense to do. Because
How
again,
it's
like you
supposed
said,
to.
if you're playing the line, because a lot of times that's what you're gonna do, you're
Yep.
gonna try and play that line to try and, beat the offensive lineman, which it
Yep.
is harder, I think.
Yeah. It is.
Which almost is like a knock for me though, too, is the
True.
fact
I
that
get that.
I have to get by a defender,
Yeah.
I have to go right stick right or right stick left
Yeah.
or right bumper or left bumper, whether I want to do spins or move that. So
Yeah.
it's so many controls that
Yeah.
I kind of don't like the fact that I have to try and do all these different things to create spin moves because I feel like if I'm going to go right or left, I'm probably just going to try and do a spin move. So why don't I just do that with the stick by itself? Why do I have to try and hit bumper or whatever? So I end up doing different button
Yeah.
combos like I'm trying to do a fighting simulator, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I'm like,
Right.
what the hell? And then still trying to push against down with the stick to try and push against the defender though. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so for that, I think they go too much into that offensive line. But
Too
like
in
you
depth.
said though, that if they could simplify the controls for that, but then
Mhm.
still have that struggle, I
Yeah.
understand that because again,
Yeah.
you're not getting sacks every single time. It's not going to be
No.
super arcade and
Right.
stuff. All right.
Exactly. Exactly.
As far as franchise mode, there is really none. There isn't one. They
Mhm.
have like that pro circuit thing that they do
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and this is where we start to get into the negative for me. All right. You have this thing to where there's a lot of customizable things, but some of the smart or some of the cool customizable things is they have legit the real helmets, like the legit Zenith, whatever. This like every
Yeah. Yeah.
almost
Different
type of
styles.
helmet, shoe, like the real deal,
Mhm.
but they're all locked. And you have to play this like ranked or pro circuit thing to try and get points to unlock these
To
things.
unlock them. Yeah.
And I feel like if you're customizing a team, you want to be able to have guys with different helmets, and I can't even pick them. They're there, but I
Yeah.
can't get them until I play further to unlock them. And I feel like that takes some of the fun out of the game, where you're forcing me to I have to
It's
keep doing all this to try and get this when I feel like if I want that equipment, I should just get the equipment. I
yeah.
understand if I want to unlock maybe different attributes or whatever, or different logos even for my thing. That's one thing, but I feel like the equipment should be there.
it's going along the same lines as a lot of these other modern games where they want you to spend money.
Mhm.
And the coins are like that kind of
Yeah.
currency for it,
Yep.
and they
They
want you
have
to
now a
unlock it
season
that
pass
way.
type of deal
And
now
yeah,
too.
yeah,
The
all that kind of
challenges.
stuff. I
Mhm.
understand that, especially for a free game. I get it because they got to try to make money to keep funding the game and make changes and all that. But it does take the fun out of it. It makes it to where it's more money driven than worth playing, honestly. Um,
Mhm.
I have my own critiques on it, and that's definitely one of those things where I don't enjoy that. So, like, even like for I don't know games like Rocket League out there,
Mhm.
where that's basically currency based. You
Mhm.
know, they're hoping that people buy more credits so that way they can unlock cars and wheels and all that kind of stuff. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. To me, that's not fun part of it. I don't want to have to spend money on a game I bought.
Yeah.
Now I get this is free. I understand that. For now, it's free though.
Yeah.
What's to say that when they come up with if they get to the point where they come up with a brand new version, all the glitches they fixed, they've heard the community talk about what they would like changed, they
Mhm.
come out with a new edition, and now it's $20,
Mhm.
and you pay your $20, and now you have the game. But then there's also, oh, you can get these credits, and you can unlock the stadium, and you can unlock these jerseys, and you can unlock these clothes, the shoes, like you mentioned, the helmets, all that.
Mhm.
That's not what I wanna do. I won't buy it. I'm gonna be
Right.
honest.
Yeah.
As a OG gamer, I'm not buying that stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna play the game and screw that other stuff. Not
Right.
buying it. So, it does take
Especially
away that kind of fun element, and it makes it more like, okay, they're just going for money at this point.
right. Yeah, and that's what they got to do if there's free to play right now because that's what
Right.
they learned. And while it's now Rocket League again, like you said, you used to have to buy it. Now they've switched to free to play, which kind of screws everybody that even
But you
bought the
still got,
game.
like, credits and everything too.
But now, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they go. All
The
microtransactions, season
seasons.
passes. Everybody
Yep.
says season passes. But Madden still doesn't. They do a season pass to an extent. You know, you could get your cards, I think, still and all this other
Yeah,
crap.
that's stuff you gotta spend
But
money to.
when you have a game that's endorsed by the NFL and the NFLPA, where you have all the star players, plus you can create teams still with
Mhm.
some decent logos still,
Yeah.
to where you don't have to pay all that. That's what people are going to turn to still. So for me, you got to give me something more. So if you come out with a game that all of a sudden you have all these different options, give me the options because I'm gonna be like, wow, dude, at least with this mode, I got all these different types of helmets. I can get this to color visors. I can get these ones legit, all this stuff that I can put on there. That's the real deal and still have it in this different types of, colors and stuff.
Mhm.
That makes up for the fact that I've got this player that's whatever rated that nobody's ever heard of because he's fake, and then I can create my own guide. That's cool too. But you're in a league that's full of a bunch of fake players, unless I create a whole league myself. But you know how much time you're investing on that.
Right.
It's not going to draw people there.
Right.
Um, so let's get more into the negative now.
Alright.
And for
I'm
me,
ready
the
for
first
super
the
negative.
first negative is I'm excited. Mike Tackett says, "Hey, you got to try this out. It's free to play. Sure, let's try 'em."
Mhm.
I get my son who loves the Maddens or whatever, loves football just as much, and I raised him on that. Football is great. He loves it. He can play. Uh, we go on. Let's go play it together. All right, let's go out. Get up on you. Get on your series. X or I get on my X or whatever to play. We cannot do couch co-op. You cannot do couch co-op in this game. You can only play online against somebody else on another thing.
Right. Yep.
Why the frig? Again, if you're gonna be a contending game, a football game that people like to play together, how do you not have couch co-op as part of your thing? Right? I mean, that was the first knock instantly that I hit. We go to play and we're like, oh, we can't play in the same room together. You have to go downstairs on that one down there, and I play up here. And then we can cheer or yell at each other or whatever, all from downstairs to upstairs.
Mm.
That's my first knock. What do you
I don't
think
have
about
that
that?
problem.
No, I
I
know
don't
you don't, but
I
what do
don't
you
have
think
any.
about that to not being able to have that co-op player,
Yeah.
like couch co-op? I mean,
Yeah.
that's something that should be a staple.
It should be, but even seen, like, some of these games that are out there now, where they've gone away from doing that, like, completely,
which is
you know,
annoying.
and
Right.
it's that kind of video game movement that we're kind of just part of right now, where a lot of all new games, they just got rid of that mode where they don't want you to play together on the couch like we used to it back in the day, you know? Um, it's just kind of like one of those unfortunate things that the industry is doing right now.
Which I don't get though, again, because I feel like you could still have that. And if you want to branch to where, yeah, that's cool. I can play with somebody across the world or whatever, and stuff like that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fine. But why take away the fact that I can still play with somebody right here? Because the best way to play games is with people. And if you can't play with your family or your friends that you're actively hanging out with, like, what's the point of that? What's the point of spending time with your family and playing something together that you both might enjoy, but this person's in that room, that one's in that room, and this one's on this one. We're all on the same internet, we're all in the same house, but we're in separate freaking rooms
Yeah.
to where we have to be on some dumbass party chat to where we can't even play together on this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah, I
that
get
was
it.
my big knock right away that I don't like.
I get it.
Let's go into your negative now. What do you think? What's your
So,
next negative about this game?
as much as we talk about the physics of the game and everything and how much we like that, I have a pet peeve with the throwing for
I
quarterback.
agree.
Um,
Big time.
my problem is not when you tap the ball, right? You lob
Mhm.
the football. That's fine. That
That's
works
fine.
just fine.
Mhm.
It's when you want to try to throw a bullet pass.
Yep.
And it seems like there's such a tremendous delay
Big
on him
time.
actually making the throw and releasing the football. And there
And to
was
where
ti
target goes on it
Yeah,
all,
and
right?
there was times when I had a guy wide open in the flat, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, he broke. Now throw a bullet pass there. Get it there faster." And it took him literally like 3 seconds, and then I got sacked before he could
Mhm.
even get rid of the ball. It's
Right.
like, dude, wh when I have that button down, he should be in motion,
Yes.
and that ball should be coming out fast,
Right.
and there's way too much of a delay. It's almost like the game was out to get me when I'm trying to throw bullet passes. It's like every time I got sacked, it wasn't because I didn't see the guy open, it wasn't because I didn't hit the right button, it's because it took the quarterback way too damn long to get rid of the football.
Right. I agree. I think even just time from when you smash that button to where you, like you said, you got them open in the flat. Mainly it's those crossing routes that kill you. You're
Mhm.
like, that's got to be timing right there.
Yeah,
You smash that, boom, you're expecting in that window to where by the time he actually releases it from you smashing it,
yeah,
he's on a different trajectory and then he's running into traffic even at that
mhm,
point. Or
right,
like you
you have a
said, you get
window to hit.
stacked and you're like,
Yeah,
dude, I hit the button. The
I
ball
know,
just didn't come out.
I know.
WTF? You know what I
That's
mean? What,
that's
what
right.
are you doing? And
Yeah,
that's the big thing too, because I just even played again before we got on, just to brush back up on it. And I did see that they have been making changes from when I originally played it when they first
mhm,
came out. So they have done some things. I know that challenge thing that they do now, challenges to get coins and all this stuff is to
I
buy
don't want
more
that
crap
stupid
again. I don't care about that either, but they
no,
have done that. And within that pass, they give you the season pass you could buy, but then also the challenges you can do where you can
yep,
get passes, just like Rocket League.
yep,
They will give you jerseys at least now too, and you're like old school, they're doing these old school jerseys now or whatever.
yeah.
That's cool, I guess, to an extent. But like you said, passing, some parts about the receiving routes and what they're able to do and actually break and beat some defenders
Mhm.
and win one-on-ones, catch some tip passes still. The passing, though, especially on those crossing routes and a bullet pass, is terrible.
Oh, it's horrendous.
Absolutely terrible. A delay, you're just not on point. It's
Yep. It
horrible.
took me a while to get used to, especially, like,
Right.
when the first time I played it, I'm just like, "Alright, let's see how this works," and it's like I struggled in the whole first half. I'm just like, "What the hell? Why wouldn't he just release the ball?" Like, he
Mhm.
just holds on to it forever, and then in the second half, I started to be like, "Alright, well, I know I got a really long delay, so I gotta basically hope that he's open."
Yeah.
In order for me to
Yeah.
get it on time, I had to, like, just guess, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna hold down the button now and just hope for the best because the delay is incredibly too long."
Yeah, and even so, it's still not a dart pass. I've
No,
done
it's
it
kind
before
of
where
yeah.
there's this play that is called like uh Burnham or something like I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it basically calls out what it can do. That basically, if you get the jump on this guy, say if your wide receiver has a good release on a guy, he's gone. He's on just a streak, and you hit like, dude, he's got to be wide open. You're like, all right, bang, I'm gonna hit him there. It lobs forever and finally gets to him to where maybe the safety can finally get over there. You're like, are you freaking kidding me, bro? This dude is so wide open. He burned this guy on the jump, and you can't get it there because, again, your bullet pass is still not a lob, but still a medium arc trajectory.
Right.
Get over to this target, not right where it should be right there. So that's another knock I have too as well. I agree with
Jim,
you on
you
that
know
one.
what really grinds my gears
What's up?
is when you know how you go to pick a play and usually what I'll do is I hit the suggested plays.
Yes.
So I'll hit suggested play to see what it gives me. It gives me 3 windows, 3 options, right? But I can't change those options. I'm locked into only picking one of those 3.
Yeah.
I should have the ability to scroll down to see the next 3 and the next 3 and make a decision that way. That's something that really bothers me too, when I play that game, because it's like you might not find the play that you would pick in that situation with just those 3 windows. You might wanna go down, scroll down, and then see what else is there, before you kinda make that decision on what play you wanna pick, and it doesn't allow you to do that.
Yes, I agree with that as well. And to go deeper into the playbook, what playbook? There's not a lot at all. Like when you go to either defense or
Like a
offense,
formation or
say you go to single back or whatever,
Mhm.
you've got your 3, like you said, you hit right on or left on the D-pad, you've got another set. And then I think maybe they give you one more option. Like you get 3 windows, basically 3 sets of 3 windows. That's it. And they're really generic to an extent. There's nothing crazy, more in depth. It's just those options. And you're like, this is it. This is my playbook. All right, let me try and look for something. So you end up doing a lot of the same plays. There's not a lot of options.
Right.
So I wish I had more options for plays. Something a little more drastic, especially with what offenses are doing now. No jet sweeps, no pitch options, whatever.
Yeah.
It's very
I
bland and low options.
And I know the game is fairly new and they're still working on it, but it would be helpful too that depending on the team that you are, you should have a different playbook than
Right.
another team and not have like the same plays.
The same plays.
That's something that I think they need to implement maybe later on. It's probably on the docket, but it's just something else that would add some uniqueness to
Right.
maybe you pick a certain team because they air it out a lot or they like to throw deep and they have different plays for that. So
Yep.
just something to keep mindful of.
One positive with that, though, with the bubble screens that they have, I am surprised that the blocking is there, especially by the
They
wide
actually block.
receivers that aren't catching the ball. The wide
Yeah.
receiver on the same that's supposed to set those blocks,
Mhm.
blocks, and you
Mhm.
have room to run down the sidelines. It actually works. Unlike
Mhm.
with Madden, again, it feel like every time
Oh,
you're
you
trying to do
just
a
get
bubble
crushed.
screen, you get crushed. The defense automatically knows what you're doing.
The receiver
There's no
doesn't
stop.
block. They just take 2 steps and stop. And then
Yeah,
the
let the guy go
defender
right by.
runs around him.
After you, sir. Yeah, yeah. That's one positive I'd say about with having the different bubble screens that they have, that they actually the receivers block and set it for you, which is good. So lack of playbook on that as well. What do you think about the kicking?
I like the kicking.
Kicking's fine. I think the kicking is fine. I think it's one of those things to where it's different,
all
but
timing.
if you just get used to it, get your timing down, you're
Yeah.
fine. It'll move. You're
It
good.
it's kind of generic in a sense. Like we've seen all kinds of ways to kick a football in a video game. And
Right.
the only thing that I'll say, I guess the way they do it, it adds kind of more like a realistic approach to it because unlike Madden where you can literally pick the direction you're kicking
Yeah.
and then just
do it.
hit the power,
Yeah.
whatever amount of power you want to add to it, and you kick it that direction automatically, I think is a little insane. It's not as
Yeah.
realistic
No,
because kickers don't always kick it where they want to kick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I do like that part of it where
By the way,
that
everybody, it
motion that
sways
goes
back and forth. Yeah.
and you got to time it what direction you want it to go. So I do like that aspect of it. I just wish it was a little bit more of a smoother transition
Right.
where
Yeah.
seems like it's a little too sticky, if that makes sense, where it kind of like it's not as fluid going
Mhm.
back and forth. It almost looks like it kind of gets stuck on each end and
Right.
kind of
Right, but I feel like,
gradiently
again, if you get
moving.
the timing down, eventually you get it, but again, like you
Yeah,
said, that's where accuracy changes with kickers is whether they could
mhm,
go left or right, and that's
right.
why I like the power part is that it's just like a thing that starts small and goes wide,
Yep.
and then it
Yes.
finishes at the end,
Yep.
because if you're gonna kick, you're gonna concentrate on power, you're gonna put what power you have in there. You're
Of
not gonna all of a
course.
sudden go, "Whoa, pull oh, I missed how much power I'm putting in that. I
Although
went from full strength and I got nothing on it." You know what I
although
mean?
there I have a favorite, uh, there was a favorite mode or not mode, but there was a favorite, s not
Kicking play?
it's not even a play, like, it was an action. There was a favorite
Okay.
action of how to kick a ball, and it if I remember correctly, I'm going back again to college football. I think they used it where the right stick was your leg, basically. So you
Mhm.
would wind up
Yeah.
and pull back
Wind up and pull
and then
back and
push
shoot.
forward
Yes.
to kick the ball. And if you move the stick a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, it would react that way.
Right.
I wish that Maximum Football would utilize that instead.
It was the same year probably when they started doing that with Tiger Woods golf.
Yes.
And EA
Yeah.
was on the whole thing with the
Yep.
stick being a
Yeah.
major
I
thing. This
like
is your
that.
active foot, this is your hit stick, this is
Yep.
your stroke of your golf swing.
Yep.
That's what I
Yep.
liked about the golf with the Tiger Woods game.
Mhm.
Right, I get that too. I didn't mind that at all with that stick too as well.
Yeah, I wish they
One
would
thing
bring that
about
back.
kicking I do not like, or at least on the defensive special teams,
Okay.
there's no punt block. You have punt
No.
return. There's
Yeah,
no punt
right.
block at all.
Right.
I can't even try to do it unless I want to try and line all of my
Yeah.
guys up. No punt block. And
Right.
then on the defensive side, again, I get they have switch players. A button is like
Oh
left,
my
so I
god.
can go boop, 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 keep scrolling, and it goes up and down as I go to the left.
Yeah.
Or hit B button, it goes up and down, different positions to the right.
Yeah.
There is no hold the button and then go
And
to
then
the
move
player I
it.
want,
Yep.
just like I have with Madden. And
Yeah.
maybe we were spoiled with having that with Madden,
Yeah.
but when you're used to having that and I can just pick the
Right.
player I want,
Yep.
that's nice. But if I have to keep going, oh, quick, the ball snapping,
Yeah.
it's kind of a knock too. But it's not as one
True.
of the big killers, I guess, that I would
I feel
hate.
also, it looks crazy when you first start playing, like, all the options that are on the screen to
Yes.
move your line, like,
Yeah, you have to
defensive
do
line,
all right there. Yep.
your linebackers, your secondary, offensively, like, do you wanna switch the play? Like, it took me a while to figure out where to flip the play or something like that, and then to even, like, make any kind of movement. It's almost a little bit overwhelming when you first start playing because you don't know where the buttons are and everything, and you're trying to
Yeah.
figure it out and navigate it. I think that's something that I will critique as well and say that I did not enjoy that part of it. Like, you're always looking at what button to hit to select a group, and then that action has, like, 4 to 6 different ways you can move them. You can move them,
Mhm.
pinch them, you can make them
Yeah.
wide, you can go
Yeah.
left, you can go
Mhm.
right, but it's like, if you screw up and hit the wrong direction accidentally, then you gotta go through the whole process again,
Mhm.
and you don't have that much time, so I I hope they would, like, simplify that a little bit more to make it a little bit more enjoyable if you wanna make those changes pre-snap, that way.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And one other thing on special teams, change the fair catch from the Y button because Y button is also jump. So seeing you
Mhm.
don't have pump block, but if you still want to try and get pressure, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get pressure. This happened even today. Trying to get pressure with a lineman. I get in there. I'm hitting jump to block. And once it's in the air, that's fair catch. So I have a punt that's coming to me, and I have one guy defending and blocking one of their gunners, and I have a beeline to at least to get 20, 30 yards. And I
Yeah.
just fair caught it on a punt
Oh, gee.
because I hit wide just a little too late
Yeah.
on it. So
Yeah.
please change the button from fair catch from Y to something else. Maybe down on the D-pad or something else, something different. That's not
Up
it.
on the D-pad.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that they changed, I think, they got rid of that I didn't notice this last time playing. So since the first time, because I played it raw once it first came out when it
Yeah.
was released, which one of the major pet peeves that I had with it was the um the play-by-play guys.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah.
They're
I
god
think they're
awful.
still kind of bad, but before
Mhm.
they used to seriously say the same things. Like it would be like third down, he'd be like, and it's third and short. It's third and short. It's third and short. It's like right in a what, just like that, like three, like right in a row. And I'm like, I get that. It's third and short. You're not building suspense. Like,
Yeah.
shut the F up. Like, whatever. And like they didn't sound real. It was just kind of, they just
Yeah.
kept putting the same samples out there
Yep.
and whatever, you know what I mean? You're like, dude, what the heck are they doing? This is annoying even at this point now.
Yeah, it felt robotically
Yeah, yeah, it
forced.
was like glitched. It's like, why do they keep saying that? I'm like, I don't care. All right. What? Yeah, and instead of just saying, all right, as they line up, it's a third and short, situation. Can they convert or something? Nothing like that. It was just,
Jim,
it's third down and short.
I know how we
It's
can
third
improve
down
this game
and
with
short.
the play-by-play
Hmm.
guys. I
Hmm.
think they should hire us to do all of the play-by-play.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that is the only way to fix it, and we would definitely be more entertaining for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Why not? It would be fun. We talked to Mike, I think, about this maybe too, but we should maybe put our name in the hats.
That
Uh,
give us
or
the
maybe they
lines,
could,
we'll bring
yeah,
them to life,
have Steve Murray try out for it too. He'd
and
make
then
it
we'll ad
lively,
lib a little bit.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because Steve Murray can just be like John Madden out of
That's what I'm
nowhere.
saying. Yeah, you have
Like,
Madden up in the booth with us, and he could do any voice for it, so it'd be great. So yeah, we talked about good and bad. I don't know if there's anything else really that you didn't like about it. I thought AI difficulty was okay still. Like I
mhm,
turned the ball over a bit, they turned it
it was
over.
fine.
I don't think
It's
it was
just getting
super
used to the
hard. I don't
game.
think it was
Yeah,
super easy though. I
that
mean,
and you
there's
have
times I
to
think I could have did, but
to your
better. But
point, about the star players,
yeah,
you have to know your team when you play too,
yeah.
because the team that I selected, I think they had, like, a star tight end,
Hmm.
and the receivers weren't that good,
Yeah,
so I had to feed the ball to my tight end a lot,
yeah, yeah.
because he was, like, the go-to guy, basically, so,
Yep.
that's another thing too is, like, based on who you play and everything, like, they have different star type of star players and stuff. Some might be more on defense, some might be on offense, and then you might not have very many at all. You might have just a running back that's a star player. So
Yeah. Yeah,
something to keep
I
in
felt
mind.
that too. I had star corner and then the running back. So and they all did well. And but overall the balance be when I first played it, I'd
Mhm.
say I uninstalled the game instantly just about after of trying to play it.
Yeah, you were angry.
Yeah, I'm like, F this game. It
Yeah.
sucks. They made some improvements, so I played a game
Right.
again
Yeah.
today, which I felt like it was better. But like you said, with the not having the dart pass,
Yeah,
it
that's
ruins it.
crazy.
It ruins it
That's
all
crazy.
because that's where you can excel in Madden, and a lot of that is those touch passes to the dart pass.
Yeah.
If you can't get your guy on timing in some of those routes,
Mhm.
that's key. And for
Mhm.
me, also lack of plays. There's just not enough plays. It's all the same boring shit. And there's only a couple of them. Like I said,
Mhm.
you get 9 for like each setup or something.
Yeah.
So, and every team has the same playbook. So it's the same plays, you know. So that's what it is, but it's a free game, like I said. So
It is.
as far as anybody, if you haven't tried it yet, you've heard the good, you've heard the bad, you can try it out still. It's free. So tell us what you think out there too if you decide to try it out. But I think they're moving in the right direction. But I think there's some things they can fix, which I think are fixable things though, too, Joe. Without being
Yeah.
licensed by the NFL and everything, I think some of the gameplay, I think they can just iron it out. Um, and I get
Right.
the
I think
microtransactions, but
it's yeah, I don't like it, but I think they are making
right.
improvements, and maybe that, some of the things that we call negatives and everything of the game. Maybe they
Yeah.
will, they're always going to be looking to improve on it and stuff. So hopefully they kind of nail those down, especially like the bullet pass thing
Yeah.
is the biggest thing. If they can just fix that and the plays, like I feel like that'll be a big leap forward and people will still, start to get
Right.
on board.
I agree.
Um, I do like the game overall. Like I like it's a different kind of
Mhm.
vision for
Mhm.
football, and I do like that part of it. I really want to love the game, but I just can't right now with some of
Right.
the
With some of
problems it
that,
has.
but again, they have a lot of good positives. Like I said, the smarts on defense, the AI or what they're doing,
Yeah,
um,
I love
the
that part. I
intelligence
mean,
on the
that's awesome.
defense,
That's
especially. Yeah,
that's
getting
great.
to the ball too, reading some of that. And like I said, the hits, like when you go to tackle, the guys can tackle and they're big. And I'm like, holy crap,
Hmm.
it's not even a hit stick moment. And it doesn't look realistic, like jarring, like sometimes it does with Madden. It just looks like a big solid hit. And you're like, dude, that guy crushed that
Yeah,
guy. So,
yeah,
they have some ups and downs. So I think, they have something to work with, and hopefully, especially for Mike, if he's still staying involved with that game, I wish him best of luck with all that. And I hope they do get better, on that aspect. So
yeah. I think they will. I think they're gonna be fine. But listen, if you want to try the game out for yourself, I know we've kind of been a little uh, negative Nancy's about the game for the most part,
rewind it and listen
but
to the
it does have
positives.
some good. Right. Listen to the few positives that we had for it. But no, all honesty, make sure you check out the game. Download it if you haven't done so already. Make sure you try it out. Be your own judge. See if you agree with us. If you disagree, we'd love to hear you guys down in the comment section down below about anything that we've talked to in this episode about the AFC and NFC North biggest questions. What are some of your biggest questions? We'd love to hear from you guys, as well as Maximum Football. Download it, see what you guys think of it. Let us know in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so already, really appreciate you guys. If you head over to YouTube for us, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, let YouTube know that people actually watch this show. Uh, and don't forget to share it to everybody.
Yep, absolutely, Joe. We're getting winded up right here. We got the camps that are going to start in just a little bit. We're super excited for that. And we'll talk some more football with you guys in the next one. See you.
Later.